Yes, professional ethics, one of the easiest chapter. Okay, just that little vagueness will be there in this chapter. At multiple places some confusion will be there. Okay, but I'll clarify that. What I'll clarify that there is a confusion. Okay, yeah. Next, fundamental principles. Integrity, remember many students will straight away start ethics with 5th page onwards. Number 24, professional competence is asked. Sorry, confidentiality is asked. Something. May 24, professional competence is asked, and all the students got 1 mark only for that, because they only write first line only. They won't write the inside answer. Okay, now, so integrity. What is integrity? Honesty and straightforwardness in all business and professional relationships. Correct? You need to avoid misleading information. You should not sign anything that is materially false. You should not sign misleading statements. You should not give information recklessly. Yes or no? Or if information is omitted or it is giving misleading, you should not associate with those kinds of reports. And if at all you are giving a modified report, then there is no breach of integrity. If at all information is wrong and you are giving a modified opinion on that, then there is no breach. Objectivity. You must not compromise professional judgment due to bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence. Avoid biased relationships. Relationships, if at all influencing your judgment, should be avoided. That's why independence requirement is there. Next, competence and due care. Maintain knowledge and skill for professional service. It is your moral responsibility. And due care means you need to act diligently. You need to act diligently. Yes or no? If at all you are not acting diligently, you are guilty of gross negligence. Clause number 7, part number 1, schedule number 2. Yes or no? Next, professional competence. Attainment and maintenance. You need to attain the competence and you need to maintain. Maintain means update it continuously. And you must provide services with sound knowledge, judgment, skill, and continuous awareness of TPE, technical professional business developments. And diligence. You need to act thoroughly. You need to act carefully and ensure, you need to give service on time. You promised the client you will file ITR by due date and you didn't file it. That's nothing but due diligence. Diligence you violated. Due care you violated. And supervision for staff. Next, confidentiality. Comply with confidentiality of information acquired via professional employment relationships, whether it's a current employer, future employer, past employer, it doesn't matter. Then disclosing to outsider is completely prohibited without the consent of the client unless there is a legal requirement or professional duty. Using a third party, nothing but using a third party test, you can decide whether information can be disclosed or not. Next up, even you should maintain confidentiality in social surroundings. You should not discuss client matters with your family members. Next up, post relationship, you have to maintain confidentiality even after the relationship ends. Next, factors for disclosure. Can I disclose or not? What are the factors you will have to check into? First, legal considerations. Suppose legally there is no information, yes or no? What points you should see whether it will harm to any party. If I disclose this information, will it affect any party? And is that information substantiated with evidence or not? And type of communication, orally or written, and is the recipient eligible to receive this kind of information or not? All these factors you will decide before you communicate information belonging to client to a third party. Then exceptions, required by law, permitted by law, and authorized by the client, or there is a professional duty like, for example, peer review, regulatory investigation, technical standards compliance. For these reasons you can disclose even without client consent. Clear? Next, professional behavior. Objective, you should not engage in any work that harms integrity, objectivity, and reputation of the profession. Okay, be honest. Don't put exaggerated claims. Don't put disparaging statements on others. Advertising guidelines, all that. And wherever there is a conflict in fundamental principles, but there you see consultation and exercise professional judgment or disassociate from that particular activity. These are all fundamental principles. Then coming to independence. Independence means what? Judgments of the auditor are not subordinate to the others' wishes and directions. Yes or no? So with respect to independence, you need to identify first threats, evaluate them, address them by eliminating it or reducing it to acceptable level. Threats are divided broadly into 5 categories: self-interest, self-review, advocacy, intimidation, and familiarity threat. Self-interest, because of financial and other interest that influences your judgment, that is called as self-interest threat. Self-review, earlier you only worked on a particular assignment and that you are now reviewing it. Self-review threat. Advocacy, see, that is why a director is prohibited for 2 years to become an auditor. Yes or no? Next, advocacy threat, promoting client opinion without any logical bias. You are blindly supporting the client. That is nothing but we call it as advocacy threat. Familiarity threat, long relationship with the client or close relationship or being too sympathetic to the client. This is a familiarity threat. That's why 7 years once rotation is mandatory in case of engagement partner in SQC. Yes or no? Next, intimidation. Intimidation means what? The client is deterring you from acting objectively. Yes or no? Either he is bribing you or he is blackmailing you. So that is intimidation. Next, Evaluation. See, obviously in every engagement threats are common. See whether are they within acceptable low level or not, you need to check. So professional accountant using a reasonable and informed third party test would conclude compliance with professional. See what is acceptable level. You tell the situation that you are facing with the client to a third party who is a knowledgeable third party and ask him whether are you independent according to him. So that is called reasonable third party test. Then, and what is a reasonable third party test? Accountant considers if another party would reach same conclusions, this party weighs all facts, possess relevant knowledge to evaluate impartially, unbiasedly. Are you clear? Next, addressing the threat. How to address the threat? Suppose threat is there. I identified threat to independence. How should I address? I should reduce it to acceptable low level. If I'm unable to address it, I should withdraw from the engagement. If threats are not acceptable, eliminate circumstance, apply safeguards, or decline the professional activity. If threats cannot be eliminated to acceptable level, decline the activity. That is the only solution in that case. If at all threat cannot be eliminated or it cannot be reduced to acceptable low level, you cannot continue the engagement. So you have to withdraw. Now, safeguards to threat. There are various safeguards. So these are safeguards means nothing but what? Activities, actions in order to reduce threat to acceptable low level. So what are various actions? Give an example. This itself can be asked as a 4 marks question. Write about safeguards. What are the actions a firm has to take? Examples of safeguards. For example, assigning additional time and qualified personnel. For example, I found that client is putting unbrief pressure. Unreasonable time pressure on me that I have to complete audit. So put additional resources and do the audit. Independent review of work. Separate partners for different works. For assurance works, I will the auditor can also provide non-audit services to the client, okay, provided they do not fall under 144 under Companies Act. So any other non-audit service which does not come under 144, you can provide. In Big Four and all, what they do is audit, there will be separate engagement team. For non-audit, there will be a separate engagement team. Next, engaging another firm to perform or re-perform part of the engagement. Separate teams for various confidential matters or significant matters, all that. All these actions make sure you are independent. That's it. Next, NOCLAR. See, the NOCLAR versus 250. What NOCLAR says, I will simply straight away tell you. First, applicability, I will tell you clearly. It is applicable to senior professional accountants in service. NOCLAR is applicable not only for the auditors. For example, you see SA 250, it is applicable only for the auditors, nothing but external auditors. But suppose I'm a CA who is working as an employee in an organization. Is SA 250 applicable to me? No. There, NOCLAR is applicable. Now, senior professional accountant, that too listed entity. NOCLAR is applicable only for listed entity clients. Listed entity client. Suppose if I'm a director of finance and also a chartered accountant. See, chartered only if the person is a chartered accountant and member of the institute, then only NOCLAR everything is applicable. If at all you are not a member of the institute, NOCLAR is not applicable. So NOCLAR is a guidelines issued by Code of Ethics. NOCLAR is a guidelines as a part of Code of Ethics which is issued by ICA. Now, so it is applicable to senior professional accountant. Who is a senior professional accountant? They are directors, they are officers, they are senior employees with significant influence. Yes or no? Now, this is also applicable for people who are in practice. Suppose if at all you are doing an audit of a listed entity where they have a turnover of, where they have a net worth of more than or equal to 250 crore, then only NOCLAR is applicable. Now, what NOCLAR says, NOCLAR means what? Non-compliance with laws and regulations. What that says? If you are an auditor of listed entity, or if you are a senior professional accountant in a listed entity, if you come across any non-compliance in the process of your work, see whether that non-compliance requires reporting to respective authority. Check that. Is there any reporting requirement? Check that in the respective authority casted upon you. Okay. For example, there is so-and-so environment law. That environment law, there is a rule like this. If statutory auditors come across pollution deviations like that in the process of their audit, as a part of conducting the audit, they must report to so-and-so authority by filing so-and-so form. Like that, there is a requirement. Then only I should report. If at all in the law there is no requirement for me to report a non-compliance, even though there is a non-compliance, I need not report. NOCLAR is purely talking about reporting to external authorities. It is not talking about reporting in financial statements. SA 250 predominantly talks about financial statements audit. Are you getting it? See, suppose I identified a non-compliance and non-compliance is clearly disclosed in the financial statements. That only I will see in 250 standard. Whether should I report this to enforcing authority, third party or not, NOCLAR will guide. Now what NOCLAR is also saying, in that law, do you have a duty to report? Check out. If you have a duty to report in that law, then report it. If there is no duty, if the law is silent, you don't have to report. This is what even SA 250 also says actually. In SA 250, one of the point is reporting to legal and enforcing authorities. Inside that first one, check whether there is a reporting requirement. If so, report it. If you don't have a reporting requirement, you need not report. Are you clear? Entire NOCLAR is that. Now, what is a non-compliance? I mean, non-compliance means it's an act of omission or commission contrary to laws and regulations which are committed by client or professional accountants of employing organization, top management, other individuals working under the client. And NOCLAR does not include employees' personal misconduct. Okay, that is not covered. Now, exclusions do not cover personal misconduct which are not related to the business activity of the company or the client. Then various examples of non-compliances: fraud, corruption, bribery, money laundering, all this banking related laws, money laundering, benami transactions, whatever, all this. Very simple. If the respective law says auditor has to report, then only you have to report. Otherwise, you don't have to report. Objective and key facts of NOCLAR. Objective. Important facts. This you see. Important facts alone you see. During the service applies if at all you identify or if you are aware of during the service, okay, you don't have to investigate for full compliance. If you identify any non-compliance, report it. There is no requirement for you to do a full investigation. You don't have to sit and do a compliance audit all together. The professional accountants apply knowledge and judgment, not extensive legal knowledge. Inconsequential matters, nothing but immaterial non-compliances, they are outside the purview of the NOCLAR. And disclosure not required, again is the law. Disclosure of NOCLAR to appropriate authority not required. Then also this is no need to report. Then NOCLAR versus SA 250. This you can study on your own because I already told. Next, steps and documentation for NOCLAR. Whenever you identify NOCLAR, whenever you identify non-compliance, first understand what is a non-compliance. Apply professional judgment. Take a legal opinion, determine what additional action you have to take, decide whether to disclose to appropriate authority or not. How you will decide whether there is a requirement, the lawyer will tell you whether you have to report it or not. And mitigate imminent breach, document all actions and decisions. What is appropriate authority depends upon the issue. SEBI for fraudulent financial reporting, RBI for frauds identified in a bank. Understood? For example, in a bank, a bank auditor or internal auditor, if at all they come across any fraud in the bank, they have to report it to RBI. There is an RBI guideline. Okay, failure to report to RBI any fraud, that's not only RBI guideline failure, that is also a NOCLAR non-compliance. It will amount to guilty of professional misconduct. Understood? Next. And remember, NOCLAR will override confidentiality requirement. If at all there is a requirement in law for you to report a non-compliance, you have reported accordingly. It's a legal requirement in law. Therefore, there is no non-compliance. Next, documentation. Document management response, what actions and judgments or decisions they have taken. Satisfaction of public interest. How do you know that it is a public interest? Compliance with standards, significant matters, discussion with management, all that. These are all various things that you should document. If at all the paper setter is a sadistic person, he will test a question from this. Okay. Membership of the institute. Clear? Membership. Members, types of membership. We have two types of membership, ACA, FCA. First 5 years after your name is entered, you are a ACA. After 5 years of continuous practice, okay, after 5 years of continuous, see, simple, after you clear ACA, you can apply for membership, whether you want to practice or not. But if you want to practice, you should apply you should pay separate fee and get COP, okay. And if that COP is active for continuous 5 years, then you will become FCA. Are you clear? Continuous practice is most important, the word. If at all you are not in continuous practice, suppose I hold COP for 3 years, 1 year break is there, then I hold COP for 3 years, totally 6 years. No, you are not FCA because continuous practice is not there for 5 years. Or more than or equal to 5 years of membership with prescribed equivalent experience. What is equivalent experience? If you are working with armed forces, that is considered as equal to, deemed to be in practice. Or you are working as an employee in an audit firm. You are working as a full-time paid assistant. You are a CA and working as a full-time paid assistant in a CA firm. That is also considered equal to practice. So if at all, after qualifying CA, you are working 5 years with some big four or somebody, yes or no, under firm payroll, not big four, they will have some consulting companies and not their payroll, under their payroll. Under firm payroll, if you are working for 5 years or more, automatically you will become FCA. Later, if you apply for COP, you will directly become FCA. Are you clear? Simple. You must be in practice for 5 years or more than 5 years. Whether you are practicing as an employee or you are practicing as a partner, doesn't matter. Clear? Next, disqualifications. Who are disqualified for membership? Below the age of 21 years, unsound mind, undischarged insolvent, or you are discharged insolvent and you did not get innocent certificate. Understood? Innocent certificate means court will give you a certificate that your insolvency was caused by misfortune. Okay. Next, convicted of an offense of moral turpitude with imprisonment or non-technical offense, okay, in professional. Any offense other than technical nature, they use the word actually. So that is nothing but non-technical offense. Technical offense means very simple. I'm filing ITR. Olden days these mistakes used to happen. Without digital signature, I filed, for example. by mistake, digital signature I didn't put, and I filed the ITR for a particular client, tax audit client. I filed an ITR without digital signature, for example. Okay, that's a technical mistake. These are all technical mistakes. There is no loss for the client. Able to understand? Negligence. These are all negligence. These are all technical offenses. Next, for technical offense and all, you will not be disqualified. Okay. Next, for example, I uploaded a balance sheet in the tax or income tax portal without signing the balance sheet. I didn't attach UDIN number in the balance sheet. Of course, I entered UDIN number directly on the portal, but I didn't put UDIN number on the balance sheet, face of the balance sheet. I scanned the balance sheet like that and then uploaded. These are all technical offenses. Next, or your name is removed from the membership of the institute. Institute only removed your name, so automatically you are disqualified to apply for membership again. Next, removal of name. Under what circumstances your name will be removed? A member is dead, his name will be removed, and upon member's request, member only requested to remove their name, or non-payment of fee, or subject to any other disability, or removal can be by disciplinary committee, board of discipline, that order. Next, restoration of name. Again, no, suppose no, if at all your name was removed because of non-payment of fee and you paid the fee within 31st March. Generally, for a financial year, for example, ongoing financial year is 24-25. Okay, and this is the financial year, 1st April 2024 to 31st March 25. For this, the due date is 30th September 24. 6 months. 6 months from the beginning of the financial year is the due date for paying annual fee for membership as well as COP. You must pay within time. Okay, 1st April to 30 September. If you do not pay by this, then they will give you an intimation. They will give you an intimation, reminders, all that. Even if you do not respond to it, they will remove the name. Suppose no, you want to restore the name into the membership or COP, whatever it is. You apply for restoration within 31st March itself. Then you will get restoration with effect from removal date. Break-in service will not be there. Break-in service will not be there. This is important for continuous practice, criteria. Okay, so if a name is removed from the register of members or from practice register, in both the cases, if at all you apply for restoration within the same financial year, not in the next year, within 31st March itself, if you apply for restoration with additional fee, penalty, whatever, your name will be restored from the date of removal itself, which means removal date will not be there on records later on. Are you clear? Next, penalty for falsely claiming to be a member. So if at all you are not a member but claims to be a member, 1,000 rupees penalty. Subsequent and all 5,000 rupees or penalty or imprisonment up to 6 months or even both. All your Instagram account, CA will be there, yes or no? You're all guilty. Member without COP but claims practice. Member is not having COP but is saying that he is in practice. Same penalties. Okay. Next, restoration of membership. Conditions. You need to make an application. And if at all membership is removed due to non-payment of fee, effective date of restoration will be effective from the date of removal. If at all you are paying the fee within the 31st March. Suppose if at all in a disciplinary action, if the name is removed, then disciplinary order will tell when the restoration date will be. And any other case means what? For example, if date of application, if the application is received after the end of the financial year, then restoration will be from the date of application. Are you clear? If at all restoration is applied by the same member in the same year of removal, in which financial year your name was removed, in the same financial year you applied for restoration along with prescribed fee, penalty, all that, then your name will be restored from removal date itself, which means break will not be there effectively. Clear? Next, practice. Member of institute holding COP, we call him as practicing chartered accountant, yes or no? So once you are in practice, you are bound by all CA Act regulations, all that. You cannot practice in any other capacity. If at all you are a member of the institute, you can only practice as a chartered accountant. You cannot practice as other than as a member of the institute. Next, impact of removal. If at all you are removed, yes or no, you cannot appear before authorities during the removal period in some other capacity. Next, significance of COP. You cannot practice without COP. You must pay annual fee by 1st April. Though they say it is 1st April, it is actually 30th September. The due date is 30th September. 30th September is the correct due date. Okay. Then cancellation. Council can cancel under prescribed conditions, prescribed circumstances, and you cannot accept engagements which are usually performed by CS. That significance of COP is like that. For example, no, I want to open an office where I want to put a chartered accountant name, everything. I want to practice with an office, with an all external board, everything. I must have COP for that. No, I don't need COP. I won't do attestation and all. I will only do normal practice. Can I do that? You can't do that. That's what the council guidelines says. You cannot do that. In such a case, you don't use the word chartered accountant officially. If you do not use the word chartered accountant officially, you want to put Ram Consultants Private Limited, happy, you can put. Okay, and you can start rendering all the services. Next, CS in practice. Cancellation and restoration of COP. If at all a CA, practice holder's name is removed from the register, COP issued on incorrect or false information, member ceases to in practice, or non-payment of annual fee by September 30, in all these cases, COP will be cancelled. Okay, action. What is the action upon cancellation? You should surrender the COP. Restoration. You can apply if cancelled for non-payment, pay required fee and application by year end. COP will be restored from cancellation date, therefore no break in service. Clear? Next, when a person is deemed to be in practice, this is DTP definition, deemed to be in practice definition. This is important. This is like a charging section. Okay, if at all a person is coming under this particular DTP provision, he is liable to apply COP. This is like a charging section. When you have to apply COP, if at all you are falling under this, if at all you are providing any of this, if at all you are falling under DTP section, automatically you are liable to apply COP. Next, if at all you are getting remuneration for engaging in accountancy practice or for performing verification of financial transactions and records or providing any services relating to accounting procedure, presentation, certification of financial facts, or you are rendering any other services which counsel things only a CA in practice can render, or you are setting up an establishment where you are offering accounting services, even though there are no clients, doesn't matter. Invitation to offer is an offer. Render services with armed forces, salaried associate or fellow working under CA firm, they are also deemed to be in practice. This one, salaried person under CA firm, full-time paid assistants in CA firm, they are deemed to be in practice. That's why for 5 years count they will also be considered equivalent to practicing chartered accountant. Understood? Next, MCOS. Now here is the main twist. Now you see, can a CA in practice, can they provide management consultancy and other services? Yes, you can provide, absolutely no problem at all. A CA in practice can absolutely provide management consultancy and other services. The question is, can you provide these services to the audit client? Suppose I am an auditor for one company. Okay, I am an auditor, stat auditor, external stat auditor under Companies Act. The same company is asking me to provide management consultancy and other services. Can I provide that? Yes, you can provide, subject to it should not come under 144. There are various MCOA services. Among these MCOAs, there are few services which are coming under 144, except that remaining all other MCOA services you can provide to audit client, subject to the fees charged for MCOAs should be less than or equal to the fees charged for audit, like certain ethical guidelines. But if as long as you are complying with that, you can provide management consultancy and other services, whether practice or non-practice, that and all is not there. Anybody can provide consultancy services. You need not be CA for that. A CA can provide, other than CA can provide, anybody can provide consultancy and other services. Are you clear? Next, now who can practice? Only an individual or an LLP or a partnership firm. Only these three forms are permitted. Yes or no? Only these three forms are permitted. For example, once you become a CA, yes or no, you can practice individually without any firm name, or you can apply for firm name. This firm can be sole proprietary firm, or this can be partnership firm or LLP. Firm means it can be sole proprietary also. Remember that. Yes or no? Firm means what? You have a firm registration number. Getting it? That has a firm registration number. A sole proprietor. Suppose I want to practice on my own name. I can practice directly with my name. I don't even have to obtain firm name, firm number, nothing. I can practice directly in my name. But if I have to accumulate goodwill, if my firm name, if my name has to be forever, yes or no, even after I die, for example, then firm name I have to apply. Getting it? So you can apply firm name, and you can only be a single person practicing in that firm name. Then it's a sole proprietary firm. If this firm name is associated with multiple people as partner, then that's a partnership firm or LLP. Are you clear? Or you can practice individually without a firm name also. That is your choice. Next. So, and you cannot practice in the form of a company. Corporate form of practice is prohibited. Corporate form is permitted only for MCOS services. You want to render MCOS services, you can render in corporate form. You want to render attestation services, you can't render in corporate form. Even in Companies Act, even in LLP, body corporate is disqualified to become an auditor. Yes or no? That's it. And a member in practice is prohibited using any other designation. You cannot use any designation except chartered accountant. Understood? Remember, CA is a qualification, chartered accountant is a designation. Both are different. Okay, Ram Harsha, CA, CMA, CS I can use, no problem. Ram Harsha, chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary I cannot use. Designation only one. If you are using chartered accountant designation, you can't use any other designation except two designation. Insolvency professional, registered valuer. Only these two additional designations are permitted below, along with the designation called chartered accountant. Are you clear, all of you? Next, so you are prohibited to mention about directorships, you are prohibited to mention about your positions in MLA, MP, all that, yes or no? So can practice as a CA, CMA if eligible, cannot use both designations simultaneously. Suppose no, you got practicing certificate from CA Institute as well as CMA, and you printed visiting card, one common visiting card, cost accountant, chartered accountant, no, not permitted. You put two separate visiting cards. So wherever cost accountant practicing related work, you give that visiting card. For this visiting card you give. Understood? If at all both the bodies permit you to practice simultaneously. Generally there is no permission like that. Okay, if you're practicing as a CA, it must be full time here. If you're practicing as a cost accountant, you must be full time there. If you're practicing as a company secretary, it must be full time there. Are you clear? Next, can I mention foreign qualification? You can mention any qualification, no problem at all. You know, you can mention membership of foreign accountancy recognized by ICI, South African Institute, SAICA, South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. You know, England and Wales, that one is permitted. And there is another one, I think if it comes there, I'll just tell you. There are three bodies. What is it? Ireland, CPA Ireland. So these three additional qualifications of foreign bodies you can mention. Only these three were given in the list. I don't know in reality how many authorized bodies were there, we don't know, but in our book only these three were there. South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, you know, England and Wales, Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, and CPA Ireland. These three foreign qualifications memberships can be presented along with your degree CA. But remember, you cannot adopt them as a designation. Certified Professional Accountant Ireland, you can't use like that. You can mention CPA Ireland, no problem at all. Clear? Remember, mentioning qualification is different, mentioning designation is different. Chartered accountant full forms are always amounting to designations. Abbreviated forms are amounting to qualifications. I'm talking about permitted qualifications, not permitted designations. Clear? Next. And suppose if at all you are not in practice, you are not at all using the word chartered accountant, you put 100 names below your name, no problem. Okay, institute is not bothered. If at all you are putting chartered accountant name, then permitted designations only permitted. Are you clear? Next, branch office, important provision. By the way, everything is important. Okay, yeah, again you will see only this only later. 2 minutes. Okay, you're able to recollect everything? Yeah, let's continue. So maintenance of branch offices, you know, as a practicing CA, you can only have one office. Okay, if at all you want to have multiple offices at multiple places, you require another CA who should be either a partner of the firm or a full-time paid assistant, not a part-time paid assistant. Okay, this is to curb, this is to protect, multiple branches opening. Like, you know, if at all this provision is not there, every CA will go tie up with 100 tax consultants across India, will have branches across India. Understood? So to avoid these kind of activities, see, because most of our work is personal in nature. Yes or no? Professional. We need to give personal attention. These are profession. This profession requires personal attention. Therefore, you cannot compromise on quality. So for that reason, the ICA put this condition. So whenever you want to open a branch, whenever you want to open a branch, that branch must have a separate in charge. However, in the following cases, you can open a branch even without a separate in charge. When the branch is in the same building, or the branch is in the same city, or it is within 50 kilometers from the municipal limits. So no, in all these three cases, you can have a branch office without any separate in charge, and you can still say you are personally monitoring all this. You can simply say that you are personally monitoring. If the branch is beyond 50 kilometers, you cannot claim that you are personally monitoring. That requires a separate in charge of member of the institute. A member must be an in charge for that, full-time in charge for that too. Now, how this member should be associated with this member, either as a partner or as a full-time paid assistant. So any of these two ways only a member in charge can be. That's it. Now, and a member who is generally practicing in hill areas, he can open a temporary branch in plain area, even though the branch is beyond 50 kilometers. Even though the branch is beyond 50 kilometers, the member can open, a branch office in plain, city of plain, yes or no, provided the branch office is temporary only for up to 3 months. That's it. And before opening the temporary branch office, you have to intimate the institute. After closing the branch office also, you have to intimate the institute. Both you need to do. Yes or no? And at the temporary branch office, you should not put name board at other times. Only those during those 3 months only you can mention. Yes or no? And you must inform before opening, and you need to inform even after closing it. Entire correspondence must happen only at regular office. Yes or no? Regular office only correspondence should take place. Regular office should not be closed during that branch period time. Yes or no? The temporary branch you opened at that time, regular office should also be opened. That's it. And can a member be in charge for more than one office? Yes, if at all it is in the same building or in the same city or within 50 kilometers from the municipal limits. This 50 kilometers will be calculated as aerial distance, not Google Map distance. Understood? Next, name board. Now, can a member show name board with the word chartered accountant at residential address? Absolutely no problem at all. For residential, at a residential premises, you can show no problem. Then, chartered accountant in service, those who are working in, those who are not in practice, everybody else is called a chartered accountant in service. Remember, you are called as a chartered accountant only when you have a membership of the ICI. If you don't have membership of the ICI, even though you cleared CA final exam, you are not a chartered accountant. That's it. Next, disciplinary procedure. Number 24 question has been asked. Everybody will ignore this. Number 24, you saw a question on this? You know, appellate authority, everything they tested. This entire provision is tested. This entire provision tested. This entire appellate authority point is tested for 5 marks in the compulsory question. That too. Okay. Next. So, you know, disciplinary directorate, you know, what is disciplinary procedure? You know, you have a website called DISA, disciplinary.ica. There is a website. Anybody can file a complaint with 3,000 rupees on a CA who is torturing you. Okay. Next. So, disciplinary directorate, prima facie. So, when you put on a complaint, prima facie, first the person who is receiving the complaint, no, that person who is monitoring this is disciplinary directorate. He will see primarily based on the complaint, not guilty or guilty. He will just see that. Okay. So, if at all not guilty, he will just submit the information to Board of Discipline. And if Board of Discipline accept that matter that it is not guilty, then the close the matter, no more further. Suppose Board of Discipline rejected, no, that complaint is a valid, all that. Then he will advise, you know, advise the disciplinary director to further investigate or may proceed with matter if it is a first schedule, or refer the matter to disciplinary committee if it is a second schedule. Now, suppose now prima facie he felt it is guilty. Now, which guilty? First schedule or second schedule? Okay. If it is first schedule, place the matter before Board of Discipline. If it is second schedule, disciplinary committee. See, there are 3 words: disciplinary director, Board of Discipline, disciplinary committee. Disciplinary director is the person who will, you know, root this. Yes or no? So it's like a router. Okay. Then disciplinary Board of Discipline will handle all first schedule offences. Disciplinary committee will handle all second schedule offences. Then the same process. They will accept the case. They will see the case. Prima facie, I mean, they will investigate. If at all there is a guilty, they will go take a punishment. If it is not guilty, they will close the matter. Now, if it is a first schedule and Board of Discipline feels that the member is guilty, then it will warn the member. Reprimand means warning. Or they will remove the member name up to 3 months. Or they can also impose fine up to 1 lakh, or all the 3. Yes or no? Suppose if it is the second one, warn the member, remove the name without any particular duration. Schedule 2 is more severe, and impose fine up to 5 lakh. Then suppose, no, if at all a member who is aggrieved by Board of Discipline order or disciplinary committee order, or the disciplinary directorate is the right. If at all director discipline felt that Board of Discipline or disciplinary order is not correct, they both, member can file or director discipline, any of them can file an appeal with appellate authority. Within how many days? Within 90 days of the order. And what appellate authority can do? They can confirm the order, or they can modify the order, or they can set aside the order, or they impose or reduce or enhance penalty, or they remit the case to Board of Discipline once again to review. Or they can refer back to Board of Discipline, please once again go and refer, or pass such other order as it thinks fit. They could have given this sentence alone, right? Sufficient, no? Why they gave all this? Next, clear all of you? Next, now schedules to the Chartered Accountants Act. Now, honest disclaimer right now. Moderately I remember clause numbers. Moderately only I remember. Okay, if you ask me which clause number, what schedule, 50% accurate. But after finishing everything, I'll be 100% accurate. Okay, so we'll see. We'll do that exercise. Next. So schedule, first schedule has totally 4 parts, second schedule has totally 3 parts. What are dealt under first schedule, what are dealt under second schedule? First schedule is dealing with business practice conduct. How are we doing this practice? Okay. Second schedule is dealing with clients. If at all we are doing something wrong with the clients, delivery of the work, okay, that is more offensive, that is more severe. See, if I'm doing advertisement, that is bringing disrepute to the profession. Okay, that is at least third party is not affected. If a third party is affected, in second schedule, you see, especially part 1, the offenses covered, they are the offenses are so that third party interest is affected. If a third party interest is affected, punishment is more severe. That's why. If third party interest is not affected, our profession interest is only affected, then it is a first schedule offense. Now, in both the cases, part 1 deals with practicing CS. Last part is other misconduct. So first part and last part, practicing CA, professional misconduct, first part. Last part in both the schedules is dealing with other misconduct for all the CS. Yes or no? Whereas here part 3 and here part 2, professional misconduct for members generally. Here professional misconduct for members generally. In schedule 1 only, exclusive employee CAs were covered. One part in schedule 2, that is nothing but part 2 in schedule 1. Part 2 in schedule 1. Only that is specifically talking about CAs in service and professional misconduct. Okay. Now, we totally have 12 plus 2, 14 plus 3, 17 plus 2, 19, 19 plus 10, 29, 33 and 34. Total how many we have? 34 clauses. That's it. Next, part 1. First schedule, professional misconduct for chartered accountants in practice. Clause 1, if at all you are allowing any person to practice in your name as a chartered accountant, then you are treated as guilty. However, exception is there. If the person is also a CA in practice and he is a partner with you or employee with you, then he can use your name. That's why branch office, separate in charge, there also same, our name will be mentioned. Yes or no? In a branch office, our firm name will be mentioned, and the branch office is headed by one chartered accountant. He is associated with me as a partner, he is associated with me as an employee and using my name, so no problem. Are you getting it? In question bank, you have one question called Sant Pant. Have you seen that? There is a question on Sant and Pant. There is a chartered accountant called Pant or Sant, somebody, okay, he allowed another CA, okay, who is his client's son, okay, to sit in his office, to take up some independent works, to sit in his office and take up some independent works and practice in his name. He allowed him, okay, and that new qualified CA, he learned all the works, everything, and later he wanted to open his own office. Is the person who allowed Pant, Sant allowed Pant, right, to practice in his name, is it valid? Invalid. Clause number 1, guilty. Because I allowed another CA to use my name even though he is not my partner, even though he is not my full-time paid assistant. If at all he is my partner or full-time paid assistant, I can allow him to use my name. Otherwise, I should not allow my firm name to be used by others. Easy. Yes or no? Next. Can I share profits to a non-member? You are prohibited to share profits to a non-member. You are guilty if at all you are paying or agree to pay or allowing or agree to allow any commission, brokerage or profit in the professional fee that you are receiving. If at all you are paying to somebody any share of profit, you are guilty straight away. However, you can share profit with another member of the institute or a partner or a retired partner or legal representative of a deceased partner or member of other professional body or qualification which is having recognized. Okay, like what are the recognized qualifications? CS, CWA, Bar Council, Engineers, Technology, Architect, Actuary, MBA. Yes or no? MBA from recognized universities. MBA from recognized university. In the recent May 25 exam, MBA from local university they mentioned. They told it is guilty. They clearly mentioned that MBA from local university. So, local university means they did not clearly mention that it is recognized or unrecognized. Recognized MBA university is only permitted. Are you clear? All of you? Next. Sharing. For example, if at all your sharing fees as a deposit with the state government treasury for corporate societies audit, administrative expenses, it's a normal practice. Sometimes in governmental works and all, they will ask 1% fees for administrative works and all. If at all you're sharing it as a custom or it's a law, yes or no, enforceable, that fees is, then you can share it, not an issue. Now, you see, share of profit is permitted, no? To another member it is permitted, to partner it is permitted, retired partner, legal representative of deceased partner it is permitted. Suppose my firm is a sole proprietary firm. I am a sole proprietary firm. See, partnership, no. Happily I can share to my legal representatives of the deceased partner. I have there is a partner who died already, and their legal representatives, they are getting share of profit from our firm. That is absolutely permitted. Sole proprietary concern is there. Sole proprietary firm means it's an individual practicing CA having a firm name. That is called sole proprietary firm. Now, can we share? Can a sole proprietor share fees with legal representatives of another legal representatives of the CA? No, it is strictly prohibited. However, sale of goodwill is permitted. In case of a sole proprietary firm, a new buyer, whoever is coming and buying, he cannot share profit on an annual basis. You pay ad hoc amount, goodwill you pay at a time, and then acquire the firm, then no problem. Are you clear? So there are many audit firms whose names are the proprietor names actually. Okay, so Kapadia and Co, son T.N. Manoharan and Co, chartered accountant, sir, he recently died, T.N. Manoharan, sir. Okay, so T.N. Manoharan and Co, like that name is there. No, that name has a goodwill. It can be sold to somebody. Even though the proprietor died, the name has a goodwill. You can sell it to somebody and then get it. Suppose if it is a partnership firm, then deceased partner legal representative can happily receive the share of profit every year. If it is a sole proprietary concern, only one option. If the proprietor dead, there is only one option: close the firm. One option. Two, sell the firm to somebody. Don't participate in profits later on. Are you clear? Now, sale of profit. Clause 2 continuation. Okay. Conditions for sale of goodwill. You know, if the proprietor died before 1998, not relevant for exams. Okay, now if the proprietor died on or after 30th August 1998, then legal heirs, no, they need to first take permission within 1 year of the demise, and sale has to be completed within the same 1 year of the death. Firm name will not be removed until 1 year. In the ICA records, the firm name will be there, and buyer, whoever is purchasing this firm, no, the buyer can continue using the firm name because it has an established experience, all that. Next, you know, in case of partnership firm, if all partners die at a time, then sole proprietorship treatment will apply. That's it. Next, you are prohibited to accept profit or fees from a non-member. Clause number 2 says you should not say to others. Clause number 3 says you should not accept from others. Kickbacks, nothing but kickbacks are not permitted. Okay, you are guilty if at all accepting or agreeing to accept any profit or fees from professional work from a non-member. However, that non-member can be, permitted to accept from whom? Another member of institute can accept. Suppose, no, my friend is a stat auditor in one company. My firm is also a practicing firm. My another friend whose firm is a stat audit, they want internal audit, they referred me. Okay, and whatever the fees I'm getting in internal audit, I'm sharing to my friend who referred me. So that is permitted, no problem. He can receive from me, I can share him, he can receive from me, not an issue for both of us. So I can share him. Clause number 2 guilty does not apply. He is receiving from me. Clause number 3 guilty does not apply. So member of the institute or another partner or member of other professional body or qualification. Now, you know, that is what allowed to charge referral fee from another CA referring a client. That is very common, not an issue. And prohibiting CA to enter into partnership with non-members. You see, clause number 1, don't allow your name with 2, don't allow your name to be used by others. Clause number 2, do not share profit to others. 3, don't accept any profit from others. 4, do not enter into partnership with non-member. Yes or no? Now, you know, guilty. So when, if at all you are entering into partnership with anybody other than CA, if at all you are entering into partnership with any other person other than CAs in practice, you are deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. However, you can be a partner with CS, CMA, advocate, engineer, architect, actuary. So with these respective body members, you can be a partnership. Now, whenever you are forming a partnership with multiple disciplinaries, that's called as a multidisciplinary firms. Right now, multidisciplinary firm is not permitted because guidelines were not yet ready. Are you getting it? So right now, all the CA firms are unidisciplinary firms mostly. They are all unidisciplinary, means only same profession will be there as partners. Even CA, CMA together will not practice because guidelines were not yet issued. Here, guidelines will be issued not only by ICA, other professional body also should issue a similar guidelines. Then only multidisciplinary firms can be formed. Clear? Next, clause number 12. Clause number 12. Clause number 12. What is clause number 12? You are guilty. A chartered accountant is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if at all he is allowing somebody to sign on his behalf. Okay. See, clause number 1. Don't allow somebody to use your name. Don't share profits to others. Don't accept profits from others. Don't enter into partnership with others. Clause number 12. Don't allow others to sign in your name. So all the 5 are interrelated. Okay. So if you're guilty, if at all you're allowing a non-member, a non-practicing member to sign on your firm behalf. Okay. However, routine documents can be signed by your staff, not an issue. Routine documents can be signed like audit queries, information request, forwarding draft observations, stamping vouchers, routine correspondence, acknowledging bills, all routine matters and all. Reports and certificates you should only sign. The person signing the report or certificate must be partner of the firm and also must be in practice. Even employee CA is not permitted here. Even employee CA is not permitted. You know, who can sign? You see here, guilty if at all you are allowing a non-member, non-practicing member or even non-partner. If at all he is not a partner, suppose he is a partner but not a member of ICA. Suppose he is a partner and member of ICA but not in practice. Getting it? So he must be a member of ICI, he must be a partner of your firm, he must also be in practice. Only then you can allow them to sign in your name, not an issue. In your name is firm name, that's what the meaning. Clear, all of you? Next. By the way, just because you're delegating work to somebody, your responsibility remains same. That is what even SQC standard also says, correct? Name disclosure. You know, in financial statements and all, members will disclose the name. If there is no statutory requirement, individual name can be disclosed. SA 700 mandates, MRN, FRN, UDIN guidelines, all that. So with this, clause number 12 is also completed. Confident? Yes. 2 minutes. Okay, we'll just continue. Yeah, let's continue. So 5 clauses we completed. Then clause number 11. A CA is prohibited to engage in any other business. Okay, you should not engage. If you are in practice, you should not do any other business. But there are some, you know, general permissions where you don't have to obtain any permission from ICA, and this is an inclusive list. Sorry, no permission is required. No. This is actually exhaustive list. This is actually exhaustive list. Just a minute. This is inclusive list. Yeah, that's actually correct. Wherever you don't require permission, that's an exhaustive list. So like, what are all the cases where you don't require permission? Only in these cases you don't require permission. Now, where and all special permission is required, they have given some examples. Not only them, any other case also, if at all you want to go for, okay, you must obtain permission. So special permission list is inclusive list, and the general no permission list is an exhaustive list. Understood? See, they don't have to define two lists differently. Exhaustive list they define. See, where and all you don't require permission, if that is told, remaining all other cases, permission is automatically required. Yes or no? So, but they created confusion by giving two separate lists. So that's creating confusion. That's why I gave this meaning. No permission is required is an exhaustive list. Special permission required is an inclusive list. Understood? Next. So no permission is required when if I want to join below another CA, okay, if I want to be a paid assistant in another CA firm, I don't have to obtain any permission. I want to do private tutorship where per week 25 hours only of lecture is there, then I don't have to. Authorship, I don't have to get a permission. LIC agency only for renewal commission purpose. Okay, I'm not for new business purpose, only for renewal commission purpose. If I'm having insurance agency, permitted. And attending classes and attending exams, foreign courses, Indian courses, doesn't matter, permitted. And you can be an MP, MLA, MLC, honorary office, notary public, all that is permitted. Part-time tutorship, paper valuation, examiner, permitted. Editorship of professional journal, not retail journals. Okay, professional journals is permitted. You can be a surveyor, law assessor, recovery consultant, all that. And you can own an agricultural land and do agricultural activity. You can do equity and currency derivatives also. No permission is required. This is there in one question bank. That's why I kept here. Okay, whereas for commodity derivatives, it is not permitted to a CA. Okay, so trading in currency derivatives is permitted, equity derivatives is permitted, but not in commodity derivatives. Okay, next. Now, so what are all the cases where special permission is required? This is only inclusive list. Not only this, if any other activity you want to perform, that also require special permission. Like you want to be in employment in a business concern, you require permission. You want to become a whole-time director or managing director, you have to obtain permission. You want to have an interest in family business. Interest means what? Interest in family businesses like sole proprietary concern or partnership firms or HUFs. In these three cases only this is required. Suppose you want to buy shares in a company, permission is not required. Buying shares in a company does not amount to business participation, right? It is just an investment. That's not a business obligation at all. But if at all you are buying ownership in a partnership firm or a LLP, or you're opening some, a sole proprietor, you want to become as a sole proprietor for business organization, they directly indicate that you're doing business. Understood? So if you want to get interest in family business, whether through inheritance or succession or partition or whatever the reason, if at all you want to get interest in a business concern, you require permission. If that business concern is a company, you are just investing in that company, that doesn't require any permission. Clear, all of you? Next, interest. If I want to have an interest in education institutions, I want to run an academy, require permission. Part-time or full-time tutorship other than ICA. If at all you are teaching in ICA, they don't require any permission. If at all you are teaching at somewhere else, you require permission. That too, up to 25 hours per week only permission will be granted. Next, you want to teach part-time or full-time lectureship other than institute examinations. There also, editorship of non-professional journal. If at all you want to be an editor for retail journals, permission is required. And remember, this list is is only inclusive list, not an exhaustive list. Any other activity you want to perform, permission is required. Can I be a director or promoter in a company? Can I be a director simpliciter? Yes, it is directly permitted. No need to have, you don't have to obtain any special permission, all that. See, that's actual original clause itself is like that. If at all a CA in practice is guilty if at all engages in any business or occupation in addition to chartered accountancy in practice. Exception: you can enter into any business or occupation permitted by council, or you can be a director other than a managing director or whole-time director. You can be a director. Clause itself permits. You can be a director simpliciter, nothing but non-executive director. You can be a non-executive director, independent director in a company. That's not an issue. Next. So can you be a director simpliciter regardless of interest, all that? Yes, you can be, no problem at all. You can have huge amount of ownership in a company. You can be a controlling owner. Yes or no? You can be a controlling owner, but you must not actively associate in that company affairs. You must be a normal simple director, then it is no problem. Next. Auditor of a subsidiary cannot be a director of the holding company. Is a common requirement. Promoter or signatory to AOA, MOA. You are just a signatory to AOA, MOA. No problem at all. MD or whole-time director requires special prior council approval. And remember, in all these cases, wherever permission is required, before entering into that activity, you should get the permission. It's not after entering into activity. Okay. Next. Clarifications. Council can refuse permission on individual cases. So there is no, even the special permission list is not a guarantee. So a member, whoever is applying, sir, I want to become a managing director, whole-time director, special permission you will give, right? In my case, they may not give. Understood? On a case-to-case basis, they may not give. Now, relative means what? Husband, wife, brother, sister, linear ascendant, linear descendant. 5-finger logic. Understood? Next, HUF. HUF business means HUF. Can a member acquire interest in family business like proprietor, partnership, HUF? You are permitted, provided special permission from ICA is required. Moreover, you should prove that active participation is not taken. Prove interest is devolved by succession, inheritance, partition, and not actively engaged, not created by self. You should not incorporate proprietary concern. You should not buy partnership firm share. You should not buy LLP firm share. Understood? It comes through to you by inheritance, succession, like that, then permission will be given to you. Remember, if at all I want to buy a partnership from one share, for that if I specifically apply to ICA and if they permit me, then I can go for it. Are you getting it? That's why I told these are all inclusive list only. These are all various judgments under different case laws. These are all different cases. That time this judgment was given. Some CA would have been there. He got ownership through inheritance in a partnership firm, and somebody complained on the CA to ICA. They passed a judgment. In case of inheritance, partition, if at all you are getting ownership where you are not actively participating, the CA would have told, I am not actively participating. Since he is not actively participating, ICA would have told him he is not guilty. Yes or no? That they made it as a rule here. It's not a rule. These are all various judgments. These are all not rules. Clear? Next. That's it. Clause number 11 over. Confident everybody? Clause number 11. Next. Clause number 10. You are prohibited to accept fees as a percentage of profits of the company. Okay, like a CA is guilty if at all he is charging or offering services or accepting fees based on percentage of profit, or which is contingent upon findings or result of employment. Nothing but if at all you are charging fees which is contingent in nature, or if you are charging fees as a percentage of an activity rendered, that is prohibited. However, there are exceptions. Okay, there are exceptions. Receiver or liquidator. If at all you are acting as a receiver or liquidator, you can accept fees as a percentage of assets distributed. Yes or no? Corporate society auditor can charge fees as a percentage of work. Valuer for direct access. Okay, management consultancy services like internal audit, operational audit, cost audit, sorry, not cost audit, internal operation, environmental audit, energy audit, all these various types of audits, you can charge fees as a percentage of value addition created by you. Next, fundraising services, you are acting as an underwriter, for example, there you can charge. Insolvency professional can charge. Non-assurance services to non-audit clients. If at all you are providing any non-assurance services to non-audit client, in all these cases you can charge fees as a percentage of profit. Are you clear? For example, no, there is a CA, in income tax appellate tribunal, some income tax pending case is going on, and the CA agreed with the client fees as a percentage of demand reduction. As a percentage of demand reduction. It's a non-assurance service to non-audit client. Okay, so if client demand is reduced by 10 crore, a client promised me that he will pay 10% of the demand reduced. 1 crore is paying me. It's a non-assurance service I'm providing to a non-audit client, which is covered under exception, therefore permitted. Understood? One question is there in question bank, so that I covered. Clear? Next. That is clause number 10. Then clause number 9. you are guilty. A CA is treated as guilty if at all he is accepting an audit of a company without checking compliance with Companies Act provisions. If at all you blindly accepted the audit of the company without checking compliance, then you are treated as guilty. Remember, that's why SQC says acceptance and continuation of client relationship, integrity, then competence, capability, eligibility. Point 3, ethical requirements. Ethical requirements means what? Nothing but law, regulation, code of ethics, everything you need to check before you accept an engagement. So if at all you are accepting audit of a company without verifying Companies Act provision blindly, where your appointment itself is wrong, you are first guilty, because client is not aware of all this. Only you are the service provider. You are aware of all the complications involved. So when somebody appointed you for any work, you need to legally see whether are you eligible to do it. Not only for company audits here. This clause can be adapted and applied for all other scenarios also. Understood? Next. Incoming auditor must verify correct appointment or change procedures. And what you need to verify here? You need to verify board resolution, you need to verify general meeting minutes, you need to verify notice, whether it is sent correctly, you need to verify central government approval, if at all previous auditor was removed, yes or no, before expiry of term. You need to see qualifications and disqualifications. You should see you should obtain you should give certificate of compliance to the client, and you must communicate with outgoing auditor. These are all various formalities which are given under Companies Act itself. Next. Unjustified removal or resignation. Suppose if outgoing auditor sends a communication with reasons to board and a copy to the institute, incoming auditor must consider those communication as well. Then 140 subsection 4, if outgoing auditor, okay, he filed a representation with the company. See 140 subsection 4 and all, I think you know the background story, I hope so. Okay, 140 subsection 4, term expired. Okay, we are not reappointing him, somebody else we are reappointing. This somebody else we are reappointing not at the interest of board of directors, but at the interest of the members through a special notice. This is the background. Okay, so through a special notice, another CA was appointed by replacing old CA, that too not before expiry of term, after expiry of term he was replacing. Okay, now the outgoing auditor can give a representation to the company. That representation will be distributed to everybody. That representation also the auditor, incoming auditor, has to consider. That's what the meaning here. Next. Then that's about clause number 9. Actually, regarding clause number 9, no, in CA ICS study material there are multiple pages matter. Like they have given, for example, if at all you are accepting as a first auditor for a non-government company, what points you should check? If at all you are accepting as a subsequent auditor for a non-government company, what points? For government company first auditor, what points you to check? For government company subsequent auditor, what points to check? You are appointed under casual vacancy other than resignation, what points to check? You are appointed to fill casual vacancy caused by resignation, what points you check? If at all you are appointed to fill casual vacancy by removal of auditor by central government earlier, what points you should check? Like that, so many combinations and all were discussed in CA Institute books, study material. Okay, so we have given a reference in our GoTo notes also regarding the same. So there is a possibility that can also be asked. One-time reading is recommended. Those points, one-time reading is recommended. In ICA book, some 3 pages it is there, the matter. Next. Then communication with previous auditor. What is it? Communication with previous auditor. So a CA is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if at all he accept appointment as an auditor without first communicating with the previous auditor. So guilty if auditor accept position previously held by another CA without first communicating. Why? What is the reason? Professional courtesy, to protect interest of another member. The client should not feel if I remove this member somebody will come. No, he should not feel that. Okay, he should properly send him out and then take somebody else in. Yes or no? So that's why they put a restriction on the incoming auditor. Don't accept if outgoing auditor was removed in an unjustified manner. So that client will not have any option. So he will treat the auditor fairly. Understood? Next. Common reasons for change of auditor. Obviously it's a client right. Which auditor he want to appoint, that's client right. Absolutely. Yes or no? Clients can change auditor at any time provided statutory requirements are met. If the change is as per law, no problem. Specific reasons, generally sometimes change will happen because of business venue change or retirement or death or temperament clashes or dissatisfaction with the work done. Okay, auditor's conduct. The retiring auditor should accept the situation with good grace and regardless of the reason. If at all a client says that, sir, we want to change the auditor for genuine so and so reasons, retiring auditor has to accept with good faith. Okay, he should not object it here. Next. Generally, one common, whenever there is a change of auditor is happening, there will be a dispute for fee. Fees dispute should not be a reason to reject. Okay, suppose I am incoming auditor, previous auditor fees is under dispute. Just because it is under dispute, I should not reject the appointment, I should accept, provided I communicate with him. Okay, now if stat audit fees is unpaid, incoming auditor should not accept unless settled other than sick units. For sick units only this exception will be there. Sick units, no, explain later in council guidelines. The later council guidelines will be there. I think the net worth is negative, okay, and they have been registered for more than 5 years. Sick unit is a unit which is already registered in existence for more than 5 years and having a negative net worth. Net worth is either 0 or negative. They are called as sick units. In case sick unit changed the auditor, I can still accept the audit even though the sick unit did not pay the fees to the previous auditor. Remember, which fees I am worried about, not disputed fee. Undisputed fee I am worried about. Undisputed fee means what? The fees which client and auditor already agreed. For example, auditor is demanding 10 lakhs. Client is paying only 7. Originally agreed terms also 7 only. Okay, that 7 lakhs is undisputed fee. The extra 3 lakhs which auditor is demanding, no, that's a disputed fee. Regarding disputed fee, I am not worried about. I am only worried about undisputed fee. Whatever the client agreed to pay originally, that he need to discharge to the previous auditor. So I need to use all my influence so that the previous fees will be paid to the auditor. This communication is required for all types of audits: internal audit, concurrent audit, stat audit, any type of audit. Then for government audits, no, if the time is insufficient, you can give a conditional acceptance and start the work immediately. And in the acceptance letter, you can clearly mention that final acceptance will be subject to objections from previous auditor. Suppose if a government authority appointed you, 10 days only time limit is given, and previous auditor will reply somewhere around 15-20 days as per business practice. For example, it will take some 15-20 days, for example. So you can accept conditionally that, okay, I will start the work, I'll accept, but my final appointment report and all will be subject to communication received from previous auditor. Next, professional reasons for not accepting. General, why we don't accept the appointment? If there is a non-compliance with Companies Act, or non-payment of undisputed audit fee, or previous auditor gave a modified report, all that. Next, then ask a client to buy DD for retiring auditor if at all undisputed fee is not yet paid and retiring auditor is not available. He is not traceable where he is. So in that case, I will ask the client to purchase DD, means allocate the funds for that purpose, and then I will be taking the position. What is the objective of communication? Why you need to communicate with? Okay, reasons I understand, courtesy, all that, but apart from that, by communicating with previous auditor, you will get to know how he was treated by the client, what are the complications involved in this engagement. Previous auditor may share insights on qualified report, modified report, all that. Incoming auditor must consider all the facts. If no response is there from returning auditor without a valid reason, incoming auditor can proceed after waiting for reasonable period of time. What is reasonable period of time? 30 days, because after appointment is taken place, within 30 days ADT1 form has to be filed. So 30 days can be taken as a reasonable period. Are you clear? Or 25 days can be taken. Understood? Next, what is the method of communication? Just you posted a letter, that is not sufficient. There the posting must be by registered post with acknowledgement due, RPAD mechanism. Hand delivery, that is also permitted method, or email acknowledgement through official mail. Remember, official mail or registered mail, anything is permitted, no problem. Registered mail means mail address of the outgoing auditor as per the ICA records. Official mail means last known mail. Understood? So with our client, the previous auditor communicated through one mail ID. That mail ID is not registered with CA Institute. It's okay, no problem. Are you clear? All of you? Because when you apply for certificate of you open SSP portal, you can only put one mail ID. Even we members also, we can put only one mail ID in SSP portal. We can't put 5-6 mail IDs and all. So, but whatever mail ID we are using, all are official mail IDs only. Understood? Suppose when you communicated through a letter, office was locked, or there is no office at all at the address, we assume that it is delivered. That's it. So with this, clause number 8 is over. Confident. 5, 6, 7 only pending. Okay, now look at clause number 1. So allowing somebody to practice in your name, guilty. Clause number 2, sharing profits to non-members, guilty. Clause number 3, accepting profits from non-members is guilty. Clause number 4, allowing somebody to, you are entering into partnership with a non-member, guilty. Clause number 12, allowing somebody to sign in your name, guilty. And clause number 11, you are engaging in any business other than chartered accountancy, that is guilty. Clause number 10, accepting fees as a percentage of profit or contingent upon findings, that is guilty. Clause number 9, accepting audit without ascertaining compliance with Companies Act provision, guilty. Clause number 8, communication with previous auditor is mandatory, without which you are guilty. Clear? That's it. Now 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7 talks about advertising guidelines, all that. Okay. Clause number 5. If this is completed, major chapter over only. This part 1 schedule 1 only takes time, rest all other will take same amount of time. How much ever time part 1 schedule 1 takes, remaining 3 parts and that part schedule number 2 remaining 3, all 6 parts will take equal amount of time like part 1 schedule 1. Next, clause number 5. A CA is treated as guilty if at all he is securing professional business through non-employee, non-partner or by means not open to CA. What are the means not open to CA? Clause number 6, clause number 7 gives guidelines on that. Okay, so what are all non-permitted means through which you can obtain the work? Clause number 6, clause number 7. So if a partner is bringing a client, accept it. If your employee is bringing a client, accept it, no problem at all. Remember again that partner and employee are bound by clause 6, 7. Understood? So if at all my partner is advertising and then bringing, no, that is not permitted. They should also bring work through accepted means. Next, so what are they saying? CS, no, they must seek work with talent, skill, reputation, so not through agents or unethical methods. All forms of canvassing strictly prohibited. A man must, okay fine, next, 2 minutes. Yes, clause number 6. A CA in practice is prohibited from soliciting clients or professional work directly or indirectly through circulars, advertisements, personal communication or interview or by any other means. Now, exception. You can request work from another CA in practice, or you can even respond to tenders and inquiries subject to ICA tender guidelines. What are the tender guidelines? You know, you should not respond to tenders where the services are exclusively reserved for CAs. Suppose if the service is open for anybody, you can happily respond. If at all service is exclusively reserved for CA, you can respond only when the fees is quoted. Yes or no? So tender prescribes minimum fee commensurate to the work, or tender is open to any other profession, then only you can respond. Now, can a CA give EMD like earnest money deposit or security deposit? Council does not interfere unless the deposit is exorbitant and influencing the judgment of appointment. For non-exclusive areas, generally non-exclusive area, why I told this, because in question bank one question is there on this. Okay, for non-exclusive areas a CA has deposited some money, okay, with so and so person. If it is not exorbitant, permitted. In non-exclusive area context only they spoke. See, generally if a work is exclusively reserved for CA, EMD deposit, security deposit concept might not be there. Okay, and that too, the security deposit, EMD deposit concept will be there in governmental bodies only. It won't be there in non-governmental. And a CA must maintain and make available cost sheet. You need to maintain a cost sheet, human number of resources consumed, all that regarding all these works. Okay, so very simple. Tender, can I respond to a tender? No. However, there are 2 cases where it is permitted. Exclusive reserved for CA and fees is mentioned. No, it is open for everybody. Then you can also respond just like anybody else. Fees and all not a formality. Clear? In one of the MTP number 24, I think so, there is a wrong answer on that. Okay, so for number 24 in one of the MTP, the tender related guidelines, there is a wrong answer given. Okay, you see tender guidelines, there is a specific guidelines document on tenders for which is issued by Ethical Standards Board. Okay, so there you will understand. Next, can a CA use greeting cards or invitations and all? Okay, yeah, you can issue greeting cards, all that, but not allowed to mention professional status and qualification. You can use the word chartered accountant, and firm name can also be mentioned in all marriage related, religious related ceremonies, office inauguration, all that. You must send it only to clients, relatives and friends. You cannot put as distribute as a pamphlet. That's it. Next. Can you provide any can you do any advertisement? No, not permitted. However, any changes in your partnership or any change in address and phone numbers where the advertisement is only bare statement of fact and appropriate area and number of insertions, the advertisement should be very bare statement of fact, like a classified advertisement you can put. That too regarding what? Regarding only partnership changes, address and phone number changes, that only. Next. Can a CA apply for empanelment? Absolutely, you can absolutely go and apply for C&AG empanelment, RBI empanelment, IRDA empanelment, all empanelments you can apply, no problem at all. However, you should not make any roving inquiries. And here there is something called GEM portal. I don't know how many of you have seen this question. Okay, GEM portal is a government e-market place. That's a GEM portal. Now, there's a rule for all government organizations to procure services only from the vendors registered on the GEM portal. So that's a rule for all government organizations, which means if as a CA, if I have to get government work, I have to register on GEM portal. So for that reason, you registered on a GEM portal as a service provider auditor. That is not a guilty. Suppose you registered on the GEM portal, you are continuously calling various government offices and asking why you are not selecting me, then that is guilty. Next. Can a CA publish books, articles and presentations and all? you can include the word chartered accountant, and you can even include the word firm name, everything, but you are not allowed to mention professional attainments, all that, your professional attainments, all that, like we solved so and so case, we discovered fraud in so and so company. No, you cannot. Okay, next. See, all this only for books. Okay, next. Advertisements for celebration. Advertisements for celebration. Firm cannot advertise events like silver jubilee, golden jubilee, all this. No, you can't stream, YouTube streaming and all, you can't do. Okay, silver and golden jubilee celebrations can be published in newspaper, that too in a normal size. Okay, like bare statement of facts, all that. Remember, these are all various judgments at various timelines. Okay, so this is not a rule here. These are not rules and regulations. These are all various case law judgments. I hope you've seen that. These are all case laws actually. In ICA book, you see case law will be there, name will be there for everything. So these are all the judgments given in that. Can a CA firm sponsor any sporting events, sponsoring any activities? You should not sponsor. However, if it is an ICI program organizing unit, if ICI will organize cricket, all that you can sponsor. There you can mention individual name and with a logo CA, but firm name and logo should not be mentioned. Next. Can a CA share their firm profile with prospective client? Yes, you can share if he requests it. Okay, if you cannot distribute to all the client mail IDs, you obtained MCA list of all the companies and their official mail IDs and you send your firm profile, that is not permitted. Next, TV and movie credits, display name or firm name in the same manner like any other entry, like how other entries were there, like in the same level of highlight. You cannot have a special highlight for this. Next. And can you solicit, you cannot send letters or emails, circulars to potential clients without they ask. Okay, you can only respond to them, you cannot send them for asking for work. And can you ask from professional colleagues? Not allowed by advertisement or circulars unless permitted. You cannot ask from anybody, only from another CA, only from them you can accept. Next. Can you give a representation under 144? For example, the company told me, sir, we have received a special notice that you should not be reappointed. Somebody else has to be reappointed. Somebody else has to be appointed. So now I asked the company, can I give my reply to all the shareholders who raised a special notice objecting me as an auditor? Company said, yes, sir, you can give representation. You can give a representation where you just mention about, for the allegation you can respond. You cannot say, I have identified all the deficiencies in internal control. I contributed a lot to the company. Won't you recognize my service? No, you should not do all that. Okay, there is a question on this in question bank. Next. Acceptance of work from clients. You should not accept original professional work from client introduced by another member. If directly approached, ask a client to go via original member. For example, my friend opened an office, for example, he called me, okay, and his clients are also coming there. I should not grab their clients. Simple logic. Next. Through him you can, with his permission, you can take you can take his clients. Public interviews, it should not result in publicity. It should not highlight any professional attainment. Only factual responses are allowed. Next. Advertisement under box number. This is a very olden days. This used to be in a very olden days. No, we give so and so firm specialized in filing tax returns 299 ITR1 399 like that you mentioned, for example. Okay, now contact post box number 52. Now the person who read that news, he will call that particular newspaper agency. Post box number 52 means what phone number, they will give that. Understood? You don't directly exhibit it, you don't directly advertise it. Olden days they used to create just bare advertisement. They don't mention contact details, anything. That's a box advertising, we call it as. Next. Nowadays it is not popular. Can a CA do educational videos? Yes. You should not refer to the firm name, you should not refer firm contact details, you should not refer firm website address. Here website contact means firm details. Getting it? Next. Clause number 7. Can a CA advertise professional attainments and all? No. Guilty if at all you are advertising professional attainments or services or uses any designation other than chartered accountancy or on professional documents, visiting cards, letterheads or signboards. This is similar to section 7 which we already discussed, using other designation. Now permitted to mention university degrees you can mention, ICA membership titles like ACA, FCA, DISA, other central government or council recognized institutions like CACMA. You can also mention insolvency professional and registered valuer. Can a CA advertise through write-up? Olden days write-up used to be popular, not now it is not. Okay, may advertise through write-up outlining services offered subject to ICI guidelines. Next. Foreign qualifications, you can mention membership of recognized foreign institution like CPA Ireland, South African Institute, Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. These three you can mention. This was asked once in 2022 or 2023 exams. In one of the exam it was asked. You cannot use any of these designations. Simple. Okay, designations concept we already saw. Can you mention date of setting up of practice? You should not put the date. You can only mention year of setting up of the practice. Okay, then practice as advocate. Can you practice as an advocate? Yes, with bar council permission, but you cannot use both the designations simultaneously. Okay, if bar council permit and if CA council also permits you to practice as an advocate, you can practice in both the cases. Okay, but you can't use both the designations simultaneously. Next, professional documents. Firm uses chartered accountant designations. Individuals can use CA prefix. That's a normal thing. You know, can you practice as CS and CMA along with CA? Yes, permitted. If at all the other institute is permitting and our institute is permitting, you can do. But you cannot use simultaneously designations. Yes or no? Then, and examination success notice. For example, my articles got all India rank. Can I advertise about this? You can advertise. But basic details only can be given. Okay, avoid undesirable publicity. Okay, like avoid. I hope you know. You're able to understand all this? Fine, right? See, I'm not giving expressions because they're all very basic points. Okay. Reports and certificates. So publication limited to purpose, use firm letterhead. You know, in all reports and certificates that you're using, use firm letterhead. Can a CA appear on electronic media like TV, films, internet, radio? Yeah, everywhere you can. And you can give lectures also as a CA. Can mention specialized knowledge, but avoid exaggerated claims or disparaging statement on others, all that. Publicity for appointment or views. Allowed for important positions or matters. Can mention institute membership. Aims for suitable publicity for the institute. Firm names are not referenced. For example, if a CA was appointed on central ministry, some very big post, for example, okay, and that somebody want to advertise on this, okay, like for institute it is reputation, right? For institute also a member of institute. So to that extent it can be done, no problem. Next, organizing training courses and seminars. Yes, you can organize for your staff, you can invite even others also, but avoid undue prominence of name in booklets, all that. Writing articles and letters. You may write about profession, use chartered accountant's description. Can you use a signboard? Yes, you can have your own discretion and taste. No glow signs are permitted. Large boards like shopkeepers and all you should not put. You know, you can also put a member CA board at residential place. Next, public announcements in prospectus. Suppose if a CA is a director, prospectus or announcements should not advertise professional attainments. Okay, firm names not mentioned. You should mention that is a CA director, Raja Martand, Raja Gambhira. No, you should not. Yeah. Use of logo. Earlier, no, olden days, no. For kings, no. To get motivation, every time when they come, they used to put all the slogans and all. That's a motivation factor for kings. They won't call the name directly. Okay, they all first put all the awards which they got. By the time king will sleep. Next, use of logo. Logos unrelated to foreign name. See, we all members have only common logo with the CA tick below India. That's the only logo which is permitted now. Okay, so you cannot have any separate logo for firms. Next, network firms or networking. Yes, you can allow, you can join any network, and you have network guidelines separately. There we will discuss. Clear? So clause number 5. So you know, a solicitation of any work from non-member, I mean non-employee, non-partner. Okay, that is not permitted. Securing professional business through a non-member, non-employee, non-employee, non-partner is not permitted, or by means not open to CA. So if at all you are getting through them, it's a guilty. Clause number 6, solicitation through circular, interview, personal appearance, all that, that is not permitted. Clause number 7, professional attainments. Through that, if you are securing professional business, then also you are treated as guilty of professional misconduct. That's it. All the 12 clauses, part number 1, schedule number 1 completed. Clear? So professional misconduct for practicing chartered accountants, part number 1, schedule number 1. Confident? Yes. Next. Next. Part number 2, first schedule. Professional misconduct for member in service. 2 clauses. You should not share to somebody, you should not accept from somebody. Simple. Okay. Clause number 1 prohibits a CA employee to share his emoluments to others. Like he should not pay for procuring the job. That is the objective. Okay. You can share it to your family members, friends, all that. That is not an issue. Guilty if an employee pays or allows or agrees to pay any part or share of emoluments directly or indirectly. Suppose a job consulting agency secured me one high profile job in a company. I am paying 2 months salary to them as a commission. Guilty of professional professional misconduct if at all discovered by institute. Exceptions: it will not apply if at all you are sharing among relatives or dependents or friends, if at all it is not related to job procurement related. Okay. Principle: procurement of job or retention of the job should be based on your capability, not based on financial deals. This is the objective. Clause number 1. Then clause number 2, kickbacks. You are prohibited to accept fees or gains from certain individuals. So if you know a CA a member in service is treated as guilty if at all he is accepting any part of the fee, profit from a lawyer, from another CA, from a broker, engaged by employer or agent or customer of the employer by commission. You see here CA is also permitted, which means a CA in employee cannot accept referral fee from another CA also. Here you are an agent of the company. You have to be loyal to the company. Are you getting it? You are not a principal to principal here. You are working as an employee. So you have to be loyal to the client. That's it. That's the logic behind. So purpose: employee maintain high ethics, receives only entitled amounts. Because if at all you're getting unauthorizedly, that is not permitted. Suppose if client itself told you, so you refer internal auditor, you take 10% commission. That comes under emolument, salary. That is permitted, no problem. If client authorizing it, no problem. If it is unauthorized from the client, kickback you are getting, that is prohibited. Understood? Next. Key principles: guilty regardless of whether you're a full-time employee or part-time employee, whether you have a COP or not COP, doesn't matter at all. Next, that is part number 2. Guilty of professional misconduct for members in service. Then there is some professional misconduct for members generally. Okay, whether you are in service or in practice, doesn't matter. This guilty will apply. Suppose you are not a fellow of the institute but acting as a fellow. You are not an FCA but pretending as an FCA, then you are deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Clause number 2. ICA is asking for some information. You failed to supply the information asked by ICA. You failed to supply. You didn't respond. Non-response is a professional behavior violation. Fundamental principle. Professional behavior is violated. Moreover, if you are not responding to ICA, like to whom you didn't respond, either the ICA, council, committee, director, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, quality review board, appellate authority, to any of them, if you are not responding, if you are failing to send information which they are asking, you are guilty under clause number 2. Now you see, if at all you are giving false information, means you responded, but you are giving false information to ICA and its related persons. Related persons means this only. Then you are guilty under schedule number 2, part number 2, clause number 3. Understood? Whereas here it is schedule number 1, part number 3, clause number 2. Understood? Exactly ulta. Clear? So schedule number 1 talks about no response. You are not giving the information to institute and its related persons. So that's a schedule 1 offense, part number 3, clause number 2. If you are giving false information to the institute, that's a schedule number 2 offense. Not giving information is a small offense compared to giving wrong information, false information. That's the logic. Clear, all of you? Okay. So if you are giving false information, schedule 2, part 2, clause number 3. Suppose you are giving false information to others, not to the institute. You see clearly I mentioned it is not to the institute, but to others you are giving false information. Then schedule number 1 only is applicable still. Okay, so guilty if at all you are providing knowingly any false information while inviting work from another CA or responding to tender or advertising via write-up or generally giving information knowing to be false. Something you are giving information to somebody, knowingly you know that it is false information, still you gave that, you are guilty under schedule 1, clause number 3, part number 3. If at all you are giving wrong information to ICI, schedule number 2 it will go, and part number 2. Are you clear? Schedule number 2, part number 2, clause number, sorry, what is it? Yeah, part 3 and clause 2. Correct. Schedule, the part 2 only, part 3 not, part 2 only. If at all you are giving false information to ICAI, part 2 misconduct, schedule 2 misconduct, and clause number 3. In schedule 2, part 2, 4 clauses we have. Totally 4 clauses we have. We'll do that. Mind mapping will do that. Next. So that's it. This is regarding part number 3, first schedule. Totally 3 clauses. 1. Not a fellow of the institute but acting as a fellow. Clause number 2. Not providing information to ICI or related persons. Clause number 3. Providing false information to others but not ICI. Yes or no? If at all you are providing false information to ICI, part number 2, clause number 3, schedule number 2. Clear? Next. Then finally the part number 4, first schedule, other misconduct. other misconduct for members generally. There are two clauses. First one, if at all you are held guilty where you are punishable with imprisonment or transportation, whatever, for a period not exceeding 6 months, then it is guilty under Schedule 1. If the punishment is more than 6 months, then guilty under part number 3, part number 4, part number 3, second schedule. Yes or no? Second schedule has only 3 parts. That's it. So last part has only 1 clause. Okay. So the other misconduct directly if imprisonment is more than 6 months. Then clause number 2. Suppose if a CA, whether in practice or otherwise, he is a member of the institute. If at all he is doing some activity which is bringing disrepute to the profession or disrepute to the institute, then institute will treat him as guilty under clause number 2, part number 4, other misconduct, even though the misconduct is not related to profession, but your activity is causing disrepute to the profession. That's it. And next, are you clear? Next, just 2 minutes. Yes. Now, in above, no, like in the above, there are so many places where firm name can be used, where firm name cannot be used. That confusion will be there. Generally, for many, yes or no. In almost every case, you can happily mention your qualification CA, or even you can use the word chartered accountant also. In almost in every, there is no place where CA word is not prohibited. So whether you're sponsoring event, whether it is a greeting card, whether it is a residential praise, everywhere, yes or no, CA is permitted. Chartered accountant designation you can use anywhere, even in the prospectus, everywhere. The question comes on about firm name. Can I refer firm name? Or where I should refer firm name, where I should not refer firm name? Based on judgments, we have given one last, you see here, we have given one small diagram here at last of this book. So where and all firm name is permitted. So for publication of books, articles and presentations, greeting cards and invitations, TV and movie credits and firm website, obviously. In all these cases, firm name is permitted. Okay. Where it is not permitted to mention firm name, sponsoring activities, okay, and announcements in prospectus where CA director, yes or no, his firm name should not be mentioned there. Online third-party platforms, on company portal where the CA is a director. Suppose company is showing about director's details, CA fact they can mention. They should not mention the firm name. So in all these cases, firm name shall not be mentioned. These are the broad places where firm name discussion came. So I just gave it at one place. So to avoid confusion. And remember, these are only judgments at those points of time. These are all judgments on a specific case base. These are not rules actually. Okay, this is not rule. Here it is permitted, here it is not permitted. That is not a rule. It is just based on judgment. Okay, in so and so judgments, it is not permitted, this said. In these judgments, it is permitted, this said. Tomorrow, a similar judgment might come where it is not permitted. So we don't know that. The book is not updated. Ethics, Code of Ethics book, no, clause number 6, 7, judgments and all not updated. There you see 1965, 1975, 1980, those cases only main. Where is after 2000 cases? After 2000 cases, you will find 20, 30. Before 2000 cases, you will find 150. You just see clause number 6 and clause number 7, you will find more than 150 case differences. All with before 2000 scenario. Understood? Next. Then. என்ன பசிக்குதா? அப்ப ஏன் மூஞ்செல்லாம் அப்படி வச்சிட்டீங்களா? Fine, no? Yeah. Part number 1, second schedule, professional misconduct for CA in practice. Now before this, no, schedule number 1, 3 parts we will recollect. Part number 2, 3, 4 we will recollect. Part number 2, professional misconduct for members in service. 1, a member in service should not share any emoluments to others. 2, he should not accept any commission or brokerage from others. That's like a kickback, prohibition on kickbacks. Then part number 3 has 3 clauses. 1, clause number 1, FC, I mean you're not an FCA, but practicing as an FCA. Or 2, you're not giving information to ICA and related persons. 3, you are giving false information to others while inviting the work or write-ups or interviews, whatever. So that is part number 3, professional misconduct for members in general. Then other misconduct has 2 clauses. Clause number 1, imprisonment not exceeding 6 months. Clause number 2, any activity that you perform that bring disrepute to the profession or the institute. That's it. So clause part number 4, other misconduct for members in general. That's it. Okay. Now part number 1, second schedule, second schedule, I'll first go with part number 2 and 3. Then we'll come back to part number 1. Yes, part number 2, professional misconduct in relation to members generally. Okay, in both the schedules, other misconduct is discussed only once. In schedule 1 only, for members in general, specific part is there. Okay, now here, professional misconduct in relation to members generally, like members, they have to comply with CA Act regulations. Guilty if they fail to comply. Clause number 1 says if a CA, whether in practice or in service, is treated as guilty if at all he is failing to comply with the CA Act regulations, guidelines thereunder. Typically speaking, every clause if you fail, whether it is schedule 1 or schedule 2 or council guidelines, even at the beginning ethical requirements, anything that you fail will automatically attract clause number 1, part number 2, schedule number 2. So in every answer of guilty, wherever you are writing guilty, you can refer clause number 1, part number 2, schedule number 2. Because in 1 or 2 answers in MTP, I saw this clause number 1 is also referred. Getting it? At many, see, clause number 1 is a residuary clause. I mean, this is not even residuary. This is a common clause everywhere. Yes or no? What this clause says, guilty if fail to comply with Act and regulations. Act means what? Act includes what? Schedules. So if at all you are failing to comply with schedule 1 requirement, automatically schedule 2 clause number 1 will also attract. See, in reality, whether they will take this or not, that's a different story. But from exam point of view, you write first the specific clause and also this particular clause. No problem. Because sometimes what happens, if at all the suggestion answer has this clause also, this clause reference will be given 1 or 2 marks weightage. If you do not write this clause, assuming this is not applicable there, actually it's applicable for everybody. If you do not write, assuming it is not relevant, you will be losing 2 marks unnecessarily. Understood? So better write for every guilty answer. Wherever you are writing guilty, clause number 1, part number 2, schedule number 2 will always apply. Understood? Next, like common violations, what? Articles, stipend related, article is not in, articles should not be permitted to involve in any other occupations, all that. These are all common violations. Next, clause number 2, you are prohibited to disclose information related to employer. This is for member in service. For a CA in practice, clause number 1, part number 1, schedule number 2 talks about confidentiality requirement. Okay, part number 1 is the right second schedule. First clause is regarding confidentiality for practicing CS. Whereas clause number 2 in part number 2 talks about confidentiality for employees. Understood? Now, so prohibited to disclose information related to employer. Guilty if at all you are disclosing any confidential information belonging to your employer. Exception, if consent is obtained, no problem. So principles, follow the principles of agency. Employee has to keep confidential for all the duties. Access to confidential only when there is a requirement. Okay, you need to exercise care, permission, all that you need to take. Then 3, prohibited to provide misleading information to institute. I already told, if at all you are filing a false information to institute or related persons, you are guilty under clause number 3, part number 2, schedule number 2. Guilty furnishes any returns, reports, statements or forms which contain any false information. Yes or no? That's it. Next, defalcation of money received. Guilty if at all you are embezzling any money received in professional capacity amounting to fraud. Client money you are misutilizing. So you are treated as guilty under part number 2, schedule number 2 and clause number 4. Now in schedule number 2, same schedule, part 1, there is a clause 10. What that clause is talking about, if at all you receive client money, you must keep it in a separate bank account unless you are going to spend it in a reasonable short period. Yes or no? So that is regarding client money, separate bank account. Here also money is only involved, but here it is regarding theft, embezzlement, all that. Understood? Next, part number 3, there is only one clause, imprisonment exceeding 6 months. You are straight away guilty of other misconduct under schedule number 2. Okay, now we just have to memorize remaining 10 clauses. If at all we are able to remember them, that's it. Ethics is over. I mean, the clauses remembrance is over. Next, see, ethics is basically easy topic. Okay, it's not a big, many, I don't know why people are obsessed with ethics. That's an easy topic. Standards is where the entire shivering will start. Next, so clause number 1, prohibition of disclosure of information belonging to client. By the way, part number 1 is applicable only for practicing CS. Professional misconduct for CS in practice. Guilty if at all you are disclosing client information acquired during professional work to any third party. Remember, this duty will apply confidentiality even after completing the engagement. Yes or no? Exception, with consult of the client you can disclose, or if there is a requirement in law you can disclose. This duty continues even after completion of the work. And what about working papers? Working papers are property of the auditor. If at all he want to share it to the client, he will share it. Next, sharing information can be shared with the client or regulatory bodies only with the client consent. Legal compulsion can disclose if there is a legal requirement and get a legal advice. Unlawful act. Suppose if client has committed any unlawful act, nothing but some non-compliances, all that. If there is a conflict between confidentiality and duty to report, okay, I mean here actually, for unlawful act, you can protect the client. But if at all client has committed any unlawful act after you accept the appointment, you see NOCLAR concept and all will apply. Getting it? See, if there is a duty for you to report to a third party, understood? If there is a duty for you to report to a third party in sense legal and regulatory authority as per that law requirement, then only you will report. Otherwise you can be quiet on the non-compliance. Just ensure 250 compliance, SCA 250 as per that, whatever you are supposed to check, that alone you check. And fraud reporting, confidentiality overriding. If at all client committed a fraud where amount exceeding more than 1 crore, it must be reported to central government within 60 days. That's it. Then clause number 2, you prohibiting. The clause number 2 says you are guilty if at all any certificate or report, you are certifying but you didn't examine. Sorry, you didn't examine, your partner didn't examine, your employee did not examine, or even another CEO also did not examine. However, exception is joint audit. Suppose I'm signing State Bank of India audit report, I didn't verify entire State Bank of India financial statements. Joint audit is verified. Their exception will apply. Suppose nobody verified, I didn't verify, my partner did not verify, my employee did not verify, or I did not even delegate that work to another CA. None of us verified, and we just signed the financial statements without verification. Then guilty under clause number 2. Next, clause number 3. A CA is prohibited to use his name in earnings estimate, a forecast, a projection, prospective financial information. You are prohibited to sign. You are guilty if at all you are if at all you are allowing your name or firm name on a report where earnings estimate is given, which is contingent upon future transaction. Exception, if at all you are clearly mentioning sources of information, what is the basis for forecast, underlying assumption, and a statement that you did not vouch for accuracy of the forecast, then you are not guilty. This is applicable for projections as well as forecast. Guilty if at all issued projections without verifying basic documents leading to, and this is regarding one judgment related. Okay, some client bank has given a loan based on projection, CA certified it, and bank is not able to recover that related summary. Okay, that's not required. Next, a CA is prohibited to express opinion on entity where the CA has substantial interest. If the CA has a substantial interest in any entity, I should not be auditor for that entity. Okay, guilty if expresses opinion on financial statement of business entities where he or his firm or partner has a substantial interest. Even if your relative has substantial interest, there also you are prohibited to give. So it is applicable for reports, certificates, attest functions, all that. Independence concept, you have to interpret strictly. Avoid any compromising situation. Avoid conflict of interest. For all attest functions, this rule is applicable. Examples of conflict. For example, liquidator should not audit the accounts. CA in employment, you should not certify employer financial statement. Lecturer not auditing the college. You are lecturer in a college, you should not audit the college. You should not write books of accounts of the client. Internal auditor cannot undertake GST or IT audit of the same. Yes or no? GST or income tax audit, that's what the meaning. Cannot accept company audit for 2 years after serving as a director or resigning from the company as a director. Cannot undertake certification for a relative. Stat auditor cannot be internal auditor. Partner is an employee or a trustee of a trust not auditing the trust. Member or partner relative is a director or employee holds securities or interest in the company, cannot audit the same company. Simple. Me or my partner is a trustee, I cannot audit that. Okay, me or my partner or somebody is a director in the company, we cannot audit that. Simple. Next, here you see concurrent auditor cannot be stat auditor, and stat auditor cannot be stock auditor. Stat auditor cannot be ASM. ASM means agencies for special monitoring, something like that. Agencies for special monitoring, nothing but banks, they'll give huge amount of loans to some companies, big loans. Okay, 250 crore, 300 crore above loans. Okay, there, they'll appoint CA firms where they will go and do credit analysis of that particular customer. It is something like stock audit only. Okay, agencies for specialized monitoring. That's what agencies for specialized. It is there in the last one. Ethical standard board guidelines will be there now. Decisions, recent ethical standard board decisions will be there now in the last page of the ethics book. There it will be there. This point I missed to add here. These are all points taken from that only. So at respective places I inserted, but this point is also latest insertion. So any CA firm who is working as an agency for specialized monitoring, they should not be stat auditor. If at all they are stat auditor, they cannot take up ASM works. Agency for specialized monitoring means what? In case of large lending arrangements from banks to some customer, okay, those customers will be audited frequently. Those customer entire profile will be audited, not just stock audit. The customer business audit will be done by some CA firm. Banks will delegate that work. This is in addition to stat audit. Understood? So if an audit firm is providing ASM services to a bank, the same audit firm cannot act as a stat auditor for the branch. Clear? Stock auditor, ASM audit, concurrent audit, these are all internal assignments of a bank. These are all internal control activities of a bank. That's it. Next. So that's it. So you are prohibited to express opinion on entity where you have a substantial interest, various related contents and all we have seen. Next. Suppose clause number 5. A member is, failure to disclose a material fact known to a CAP in the financial statements. You are treated as guilty if fails to disclose a material fact known to him, not disclosed in financial statements as per applicable financial reporting framework. Financial statements are omitting something, and that omission and in spite of it you didn't react. Then you are treated as guilty. Remember, omission of disclosure is a misstatement, right? Then clause number 6 also talks about misstatement. Yes or no? That's why this entire schedule to this part number 1, duplication. The clauses are just a duplication. Okay. Clause number 2, guilty if at all failure to report MMS known to him. Remember, it's not just a failure to report MMS. It's about that there is a material misstatement in financials, but you gave an unqualified opinion. Then only guilty will attract in clause number 6, clause number 5. Next. MMS must be proven. Next, clause number 7. Once I finish this clause, I will tell you the integration of all these clauses, because in exam you will see sometimes clause number 2, 5, 7 which clauses I have to mention. That confusion is there. I will tell you one trick. Now clause number 7, a CA is treated as guilty if he does not exercise due diligence or is grossly negligent in professional work. So when you're taking up any work, you must use appropriate skill, care, caution. You're not a watchdog, not a detective. Okay, investigate suspicious items. Professional misconduct, here if at all you are grossly negligent, then only professional misconduct. Suppose minor errors, generally not a misconduct, but it is to be noted. If at all there are any minor errors, you just note it down. The institute may not treat you as a guilty. Technical offenses is there, right? That may not be treated as a gross negligence. Then clause number 8, guilty if fails to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence which is necessary for expression of opinion. Without obtaining evidence, you gave the opinion. Clause number 2 also says the same. What clause number 2 says? Without examining the financial statements, you are signing. Without examining means what? Without obtaining evidence. Correct? If unable to obtain, you deny opinion. Failure to deny the opinion will amount to gross negligence. State limitations are clearly stated in certificate. Disclose whatever the non-performed checks, what are all activities you didn't check. That also clearly disclose. Here there is one circulation. There is one guideline. Newspaper figures, some CA firm has certified it without verifying accuracy of the circulation figures. Okay, the CA is held to be guilty. That's it. Clause number 9. Failure to invite attention to any material departure from gap. In the recent May 25 also this question was coming. This question came. Gap related requirement. So fails to invitation any material. A CA is treated as guilty if at all he is failing to comply with gap. If at all you are unable to comply with audit gap, you have to clearly mention that in the report. Then here there is something, for listed companies, peer-reviewed auditors only can be appointed. The firm must have a valid peer review certificate. Without a valid peer review certificate, you cannot accept. If at all you are accepting without a valid peer review certificate, it's a guilty of professional misconduct under clause number 9, because that's a gap principle you violated. So automatically clause number 9 will attract. Gap means what? Simple. Auditing standards you didn't comply when you're providing any service. Assurance standards you didn't comply when you're providing service. In all these cases, wherever engagement and quality control standards you didn't follow, they all attract clause number 9. Sometimes they'll give you so and so work CA was appointed, so and so processes he need to perform. He could not perform these procedures. What is the consequence? Comment in light of CA Act they will tell. Then you should not write standard related answer. CA Act clause number 9 answer you should write. Understood? Next, and obviously in all the reports and attestation works you need to mention MRN and FRN. UDIN also must be mentioned for all types of works. Yes or no? And can a CA certify newspaper circulation related? Yes, you have to follow Audit Bureau circulation rules and regulations when you are certifying number of copies that are circulated. Like many newspaper companies, they news channels, TRP rating, for example. Newspapers, what is the basis for their credibility? Number of newspapers that they are circulating every day. So that is a credibility. For TV channels, what is the credibility? TRP rating. So when you are certifying TRP ratings, when you are certifying newspaper circulation, there is a bureau for circulation of newspapers, there will be bureau for TRP rating. So their guidelines you need to follow and then certify. If you do not follow that guidelines, gap you didn't follow, automatically clause number 9 guilty will attract. Understood? Then clause number 10. So fails to keep money of the client other than fees. If you're getting a fees, you keep the fees wherever, like wherever the bank account you want. Next, money received from client must be kept in a separate bank account, and it must be used only for the stated purpose, for ROC filing fee, for income tax purpose, for various purpose. No client will transfer money to auditor. You must keep it in a separate bank account because it is not your money. Next, advance fees you can keep it in any bank account. Money received for expenses like statutory fees, all that, which are to be spent in reasonable period of time, you need not keep it in a separate bank account. Money received as trustee, executed, liquidated, they must always be kept in separate bank account. Are you clear, all of you? That's it. With this, clause number 9 is also completed. Now just once check like all the 10 clauses in part number 1. Okay, fine. Part number 1, schedule number 2. Yeah, clause number 1, confidentiality. A CA in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if it discloses without the consent of the client any information obtained during the professional work to third parties. Yes or no? Clause number 2, a CA in practice is deemed to be guilty if at all he certifies any financial statements without examining them. Clause number 3, if at all he is associating his firm name or his name with any reports of earning estimate or forecast or projection, that is guilty. Exceptions will be there. Okay, leave it. Clause number 4, a CA in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if at all he is certifying financial information or reports where he is having substantial interest, he or his partner or relative. Clause number 5, a material fact known to you but not disclosed in financial statements and you are silent on it, then you are deemed to be guilty. Clause number 6, financial statements are materially misstated and that misstatement is known to you and guilty if at all you did not report it. Clause number 7, gross negligence. Clause number 8, sufficient appropriate evidence is not obtained. A CA in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if at all he is not able to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence and certify the financial statements without evidence. Clause number 9, failure to comply with gap. Clause number 10, you should keep client money in a separate bank account. Clear? Easy? Yes. All clauses. Once will then take a break. Yeah. Then part number 1, schedule number 1, clause part number 1, schedule number 1, guilty of professional misconduct for CAs in practice. Okay. 1, a CA in practice should not allow others to use his name. Yes or no? Clause number 2, a CA is treated as guilty if at all he is allowing others to use, he is sharing profit to others. Clause number 3, accepting profits from others. Clause number 4, allowing others, entering into partnership with others. Clause number 12, allowing others to sign in his name. Clause number 11, should not engage in any business. Clause number 10, do not accept fees as a percentage of profit or contingent upon nature. Clause number 9, do not accept the audit of a company without ascertaining compliance with Companies Act. Clause number 8, do not accept the audit without first communicating with previous auditor. Clause number 5, do not secure the business through a non-member, through a non-partner, or by means not permitted to a CA. Clause number C, don't do solicitation through all this prohibited means. Clause number 7, you should not use professional attainments, designations, all that. Then part number 2, for members in service. 1, clause number 1, a member in service is prohibited to share emoluments with others. Clause number 2, he is prohibited to accept from others any commission, brokerage, kickbacks. Then part number 3, professional misconduct for members in general. There we have totally 3 clauses. 1, an FCA, a person who is not an FCA cannot practice as an FCA. Clause number 2, 1 minute. Yeah, not giving information to ICA. Clause number 3, giving false information to others. Then part number 4, other misconduct for members in general. 2 clauses. Clause number 1, imprisonment not exceeding 6 months. Clause number 2, yeah, if at all is bringing disrepute to the profession, then also guilty. Then schedule number 2, part number 1. No. Part number 2, 4 clauses we have. First clause. CA Act, yeah, general non-compliance, yes or no? Clause number 1, part number 2, schedule number 2. If a CA in practice or member in service, whoever it is, because part number 2 is applicable for all members, if they fail to comply with CA Act regulations made thereunder, they are guilty. Clause number 2, confidentiality for members in service. Then clause number 3, false information to ICA. Clause number 4, defalcation of money received from the client. Then part number 3, other misconduct for members in general, imprisonment exceeding 6 months. Then all the 10 clauses, part number 1, schedule number 2, Yeah, part number 1, schedule number 2. So inside the clause number 1, CAP should maintain confidentiality. Yes or no? Part number 2, without examining you should not certify. Clause number 3, projections, forecast and all you should not certify. Clause number 4, substantial interest is there, you should not certify. Clause number 5, material fact not disclosed in financials known to you. Clause number 6, material misstatement known to you but not reported. Gross negligence, clause number 7. And clause number 8, sufficient appropriate evidence was not obtained. Clause number 9, gap not followed. Clause number 7, money has to be kept in separate bank account of the client. Now here, clause number 2, if you see, not examined but certified the financials. Clause number 5, not examined. Clause number 8, did not obtain sufficient appropriate. Both are interlinked. If clause number 8 of part number 1, schedule number 2 is applicable, automatically clause number 2 is also applicable. Are you clear? Now, if clause number 6 is attracted, clause number 5 is attracted, automatically clause number 6 also will be attracted. And further, without examining your certifying means how negligent are you? 7 is also attracted. Yes or no? If 2 attracts, 7 and 8 attracts automatically. If 8 attracts, 2 and 7 attracts automatically. Are you clear? 2, 7, 8 are interlinked clause. Because 2 says without examining you certified. 8 says without getting evidence you certified. 7 says negligence. Without evidence you are certifying. That means it's a negligence. Are you clear? So 2, 7, 8 interlinked. That's it. Predominant topic is completed. We are left with council guidelines and certain advertisement guidelines, telephone directory, all that guidelines and all. Okay, third party platform, aggregator platform, that and all. So we'll discuss after a break. Confident? That's it. 1 hour 15 minutes. We have still another 15 minutes. That's it. 2 hour 5 minutes. Ethics is completed technically. So council guidelines. So this council guidelines are applicable for all members, whether in practice or in service. It doesn't matter. If at all is a member, council guideline is applicable. And you know, for CA in practice, gross negligence is covered in part number 1, schedule number 2, clause number 7. But for an employee who is negligent, council guidelines is covering. Okay, so if a CA is he is an employee, member in service, if at all he is grossly negligent in providing services, council guidelines violation it will be. Next up. And maintenance of books of accounts, irrespective of limits under income tax law, it doesn't matter. Every practicing CA must maintain reasonable books of accounts like cash book ledger for all entire his practice. And what is the limit on number of tax audit assignments? And recently on 1st April 2026, recently there was a circular given by ICI that with effect from 1st April 2026, limit distribution will not be there. This point will not be applicable to you, don't worry. Okay, only if a supplementary material is released. Remember, this principle is common for income tax, everything. If ICI releases a supplementary material, specifically states that is applicable for your examination, unless this has happened, those amendments will not apply to you. So you don't have to worry about all the speculations that is happening. Is there an ICI supplementary material which says that this is applicable for your exam? If not, that is not applicable to you. Clear? Now, so limits on tax audit assignment. So a CA in practice can sign up to 60 tax audit reports. Now when you are counting the 60 reports that you are going to sign under 44 AD, ADF 44 AE will not be counted. Now in the recent guidelines they clearly mention clause numbers in the income tax. 44 AB section is there at audit. 44 AB 5 clauses were there. A and B only will be counted. C, D, E clause, those related audits will not be counted. Now, so in the 60 this will not be considered. In the recent exam also this practical question came for 5 marks, I guess so. Okay, and now in case of a partnership firm, per partner 60 count will be there. And if number of that too, which partner? Practicing partner, full-time practicing partner only, it will be counted. Suppose if a person is a partner in multiple firms, on behalf of all the firms put together, on his membership maximum 60 only he can sign. And further, if a partnership firm is having 10 partners for example, and they are eligible for 600 and need not be restricted to 60 per partner, one partner can sign on behalf of all the partners, provided remaining partners do not sign in their personal capacity or professional capacity. That's it. Similar rules are there even for company audit also. So restriction on ceiling limit for company audits, that also we will see now. Okay, where is that? Specified limit on specified number of audit assignments. How many audit assignments you can do? Maximum 30 company audits. Remember, we have audit ceiling in Companies Act where it says 20 per member. Okay, a member cannot sign more than 20 companies. In that, dormant company, private limited company with paid up capital less than 100 crore and a small company and a 1-person company will not be counted as per Companies Act. However, as per CA Act, 30 companies only counted, where OPC and dormant will not be counted, which means private limited companies, small companies and all will be counted. Understood? Now, which one I have to follow? Both you have to satisfy. Both the regulations you have to satisfy, which means the total number of companies that you are doing audit at a time. It is not per financial year like that. For example, you see tax audit limit. No, it is per financial year, not per assessment year. Suppose in this ongoing financial year 24-25, for example, 24-25 is ongoing year. In this 24-25, in this entire 365 days, how many tax audit reports one can sign? 60. Whether these reports belong to latest assessment year, old assessment year, that and all doesn't matter. 60 tax audit reports per one assessment year for one client. If you're doing a sign, that's a one tax audit report. And whether you're suppose if at all you're a branch tax auditor, even if one branch you're doing or 100 branches you're doing, doesn't matter. It is counted as one. Very simple. One PAN number is equal to one. So how many PAN numbers you are signing, for how many PAN numbers you are signing, that many assignment will be counted. Now, so under Companies Act, maximum company audit assignments cannot exceed 20, where the 20 do not include dormant company, small company, 1% company, and a private company with paid up capital less than 100 crore. Whereas under under ethics, under council guidelines, the limit is 30, excluding OPC, excluding dormant company. Now there is a conflict here. Now which one I should follow? I should satisfy both. Okay, so the number of audits should not be more than 20 as per company law, and the number of audits should not be more than 30 as per council guidelines. Both I should fulfill. In such a way my audit composition should be. Are you clear? So for example, a simple example I'll tell you. Suppose I have, let us assume 41% companies, 50 small companies, 20 small companies, okay, 5 private limited companies and 2 government companies, okay, and there are another 5 let us assume listed company. These are the composition which I have. Under Companies Act, if you see what are all counted, okay, private limited company, assuming these are all more than 100 crore paid up capital, assuming these are more than 100 crore paid up, this 5 will be counted, 2 will be counted, and even listed companies 5, totally 12. Under Companies Act I satisfied. Now I will also check code of ethics. As per that, did I satisfy or not? OPC will not be counted. Dormant anyhow is not there here. Remaining dormant company, if at all there, for example, I am also auditor for 30 dormant companies, that will not be counted. Remaining all put together 32 it is coming, therefore I violated code of ethics. So any 2 companies I should resign, any 2 companies I should withdraw, therefore I will be complying the Companies Act as well as code of ethics. So whenever, that's why you see acceptance and continuation of client relationship, check either comply with relevant ethical requirements before accepting, means you need to check this, you need to check Companies Act, everything. Next, that's it. Audit of head office and branches is treated as one audit client only. So whether you're auditing entire company or whether you're auditing any one branch, doesn't matter, it is treated as one client only. I already told in income tax, one PAN number is equal to one client. Here also one PAN number is equal to one client. That's it. And we have other guidelines. That we will discuss. So non-payment of undisputed audit fee. This we have already seen in clause number 8, communication with previous auditor. So CA shall not accept appointment if undisputed audit fee of the previous year is not paid. This condition does not apply if the client is a sick unit. Sick unit means it is registered for at least minimum of 5 years and accumulated net worth is more than, accumulated losses is more than or equal to net worth. Nothing but the net worth is eroded, either 0 or negative. And undisputed audit fee. What is meant by undisputed audit fee? This is a provision which is for audit fee which is agreed by both auditor and client. This much we already agreed by both of them. The extra fee which auditor is demanding, which client is not agreeing, that is in dispute. Okay, so that basic fee that which both of them agreed at the time of terms of engagement, no, that is already undisputed audit fee. Clear? Next, limits on fees for other services. This is to protect self-interest threat of the auditor. Okay, self-interest threat has to be protected. I hope you know one of the self-interest threat example is substantial fees received from the client. If at all the auditor is getting significant amount of fees from one client, that's actually a self-interest threat. Now, to protect independence, for certain companies like public sector companies, government companies, listed companies, and other public companies with a turnover having more than or equal to 50 crore. Remember, this concept does not apply for private companies. If at all I am providing the services to private limited company, this concept is not applicable. Public companies having turnover more than 50 crore or listed companies, government companies, PSUs, in all these cases this provision is applicable. What this provision is saying, your fees the fees that you are charging for audit must always be more than or equal to the fees that you are charging for all management, consultancy and other services put together. Understood? For all MCOS put together, how much fees you are charging? That should be less than or equal to your audit fee, which means if for an audit client, if you are providing non-audit services, tomorrow if a conflict comes, you should not compromise on audit. Okay, when you will compromise on audit, if at all fees for other services is more, there is a possibility that you will compromise for audit. That's it. So audit fees must be more than or equal to aggregate fees for other services rendered to the same company. By the way, remember, other services does not include what is not another service, what does not come under management consultancy, other service. Audit services will not come. Which audit? Stat audit. Stat audit will not come under MCOS. Certification work will not come under MCOS. Representation before authority, that will not come under MCOS, which means this fees can be charged to any extent, no problem at all. For example, I am getting 100 crore stat audit fee, okay, and I'm also getting 20 crore for representation services, and I'm getting 140 crore with respect to internal audits, various types of audits, for example, from one big client. Okay, now since both, I mean, this is nowhere counted for limit purpose, only audit fees is considered for this. Understood? This 20 will not be counted at all, because this 20 will not be treated as other services fee. Only 140 we will count it for other service, and since this 140 is more than 100, automatically guilty. Are you clear? Next, and other works and services means what? What does it mean? It includes all MCOS and all professional services which SCA generally provides, but MCOS does not include. Other services won't include audit under statutes, certification works required by statutory auditors, especially certification works required by stat auditors means bank audits. Stat auditor has to give so many certificates. Insurance companies, stat auditor has to give so many certificates. So in all these cases, along with audit report, various other statutory certifications you will do, that will not be counted. Normal certification works will be there, that will be counted. Clear? Next. And can a person be appointed as an auditor where he is indebted? No. The limit for indebtedness is 1 lakh, or the limit fixed in the law. For example, company law, you take 5 lakhs is the indebtedness limit. So up to Companies Act limit, or if at all there is no law for it, then 1 lakh is the limit. In an entity, it may be a sole proprietary concern, it may be a partnership firm, it may be a company, or it may be a society, it doesn't matter. Okay, so how much indebtedness I can have to an entity where I am doing audit? Maximum 1 lakh. If at all there is a specific law guiding that, then only 5 lakhs. For example, Corporate Societies Act, it says 1000 only. Indebtedness exceeding 1000, you are disqualified. So limit specified in the act or 1 lakh, whichever is lower or whichever is higher. That way you can compute. Okay, but actually higher or lower, that interpretation is not correct. So limit specified in the statute, that you need to check. If there is no limit in the law, then 1 lakh limit is applicable. This is correct interpretation. Are you clear? Next, disqualification. I mean, indebted to a concern, obviously you are disqualified. Exception. However, if you are receiving fees on progressive basis, that's not a indebtedness. Suppose if you are receiving fees completely in advance, that's again indebtedness. Next, directions for unjustified removal of auditor. Incoming auditor shall follow council direction not to accept appointment in case earlier auditor were removed in an unjustified manner. That's normal. And guidelines on tender, which are already discussed in clause number 6. And UDIN, we already know. Okay, UDIN I'm not covering. Guidelines for networking, I'll come back to this networking guidelines at last. Guidelines for logo, we know that this is the latest logo, and CA in blue. Okay, tricolor upside down tick. Blue is equal to creativity, integrity, knowledge, trust, stability. Tick, wisdom, value. India, you know, commitment to Indian economy and public trust, all that. Usage, there should not be any alteration of font, color, bold or size or spacing, nothing, no change at all. And no rotation, shrinking or distortion. The image has to be used as it is. You can enlarge it or you can reduce it, but the proportion has to remain same. Next, guidelines for corporate form of practice. Corporate form of practice means what? I will run my practice by incorporating a company. But you can do that. You can run your practice by incorporating company. But in the name of the company, you should not do attestation audit services. In the name of the company, complete management, consultancy, other services completely can be provided. Now, when you're incorporating company for providing MCOA services, that company must be approved by ICA. Okay, and you need to get an approval from ICA for this particular company. Now you see, and in this company, you can be a managing director, you can be a whole-time director, no problem at all. The moment you apply for application, for incorporating company, there itself you will be granted MD whole time director permission directly. So you need not get a separate permission for MD whole time director in a MCOS company. So in an MCOS company, if at all you are acting as a managing director, whole time director, first of all that MCOS company is permitted by ICA, right? So it's a deemed permission for being MD or whole time director in consultancy services company. Clear? I hope you know this provision. Yeah. So members in practice can hold MD or whole time director or even a manager in a body corporate only if the company engages in exclusively management consultancy and other services. You can still hold full time COP in spite you being a whole time director here. No restriction on equity holding, and it is still regarded as full time practice, and you can train articles, all that. Company name must be approved with institute, then only this registration must be there with institute, then only you can be a whole time director there, then only managing director there. If at all institute records that company is not registered with the institute records as a management consultancy other services, and if you are a director in that company, you are guilty. But again, if you specifically obtain a permission and then becoming a director in any company, no problem. And ethical compliance, the individual or firm which is a stat auditor, the management consultancy company cannot accept prohibited assignment. This is something we know. We already know 144 section, 141 subsection 3 disqualification clause number J. Yes or no? An auditor or his associate entity or his subsidiary entity cannot accept prohibited assignments where the firm is acting as an auditor. Associated entity means what? Management consultancy service company. For the audit firm, MCOS is an associate entity or a subsidiary entity. Yes or no? So if at all you are acting as an auditor for one client, prohibited service not only you, even your company should not provide. And now we have seen ceiling limit on remuneration, right? Ceiling limit on the amount to be charged, right? There what we learn, how much fees that you are charging for audit, that fees should always be more than or equal to fees that you are charging for other services. Now fees charged by you as well as this MCOS company together we will count. Are you getting it? So fees for other services. What do you mean by fees for other services? The fees charged by the firm directly for other services plus fees charged by consulting company for other services. Both put together, total fees for other services. This fees shall be less than or equal to total fees that you are charging for audit for the same client. Clear? Next. Then we have and of course company is also liable to comply with CA Act, advertisement guidelines, all that. So the corporate company that you incorporate, it should also comply with entire council guidelines, everything. Next. Then networking. Now whether a group of firms is a network or not, deemed network, when multiple firms are coming together for profit or cost sharing, they have a common ownership, control or management, they have a common quality control practices, or they have a common business strategy, or they have a common brand name, or they share significant professional resources. In all these cases, we will treat the group of firms as a network. Okay, now you see they are treated as a network. This network guidelines are important for limitation on fees, especially from that point of view. This network guidelines are very, very important. Fine. What do you mean by significant professional resources? Common information systems, common partners and staff, common technical departments, common audit methodology and tools, and training program is conducted commonly for all the staff members which are falling under network. Now, like tomorrow you can also practice by incorporating a network. Okay, like we know popular top 10, top 15 network firms only we know. Okay, but you can also create a network. You can get a network approved from ICI, establish quality control policies, tie up with multiple partnership firms, educate them, so you can create a network. So how network can be incorporated? It can be incorporated as a mutual entity, it can be incorporated as a partnership firm, LLP, company, whatever. But remember, when you want to establish a firm to practice, it can only be either firm, partnership act, or LLP, or it can be sole proprietor. You cannot do practice in the form of corporate society. You cannot do as a company. Yes or no? But a network can be a company. And remember, network cannot render any service on its own. The member firms will render services. Network is only a central authority. That's it. Where it designs and it develops and develops quality control policies, all that. And we all know firm can only join only one network. Yes or no? And first also firms with common partners, all these firms must join again same network. And network name generally comes with ending, this affiliates. affiliates is the common, that is a way to identify network. And firms, CA firms are there, right? They must use either and co or and associates. These are the two permitted phrases for firms. For networks, affiliates, that's it. And network cannot do any practice. Now registration procedure for network 99% not relevant. Okay, now an Indian member firm, Indian audit firm, no, can they join international network? Yes, they can join. Again, firms with common partners shall also join the same network. And ethical compliance, if network firm is a stat auditor, other firms cannot accept prohibited assignments. Okay, and even when there is a rotation, we have seen in company audit chapter in CA Inter or maybe in law. Okay, so if at all a network firm is outgoing auditor, from the same network incoming auditor should not be appointed. Now coming to fees, how much fees a network firm can charge? Statutory audit firm, how much they can charge fees? The audit firm, how much they can charge fees for other services? See, we know fees for other services shall not be more than fees for audit. Yes or no? In other words, audit fees must be more than or equal to fees for other services, or fees for other services shall not exceed stat audit fee. Now fees for other service includes what and all? The fees for non-audit service charged by the firm plus associate companies are na, consulting companies are na, that management consulting, that. So both put together 1x, multiplier is 1x. So the firm plus company, so how much fees they are getting for other services? 1 crore. For audit, how much they are getting? 1 crore. Then no problem. Now this firm and company, this entire, this firm, company, everything is forming part of one network called ABC and affiliates. Okay, ABC and affiliates, there is one network. In this network, there are multiple other firms. Okay, now the restriction, ethical compliance says what? The audit firm and the audit firm and consulting company fees for other services shall not exceed stat audit fee. That we understood. What about other network firms? That, because no, even though they're all part of same network, the firms are owned by different people. Understood. What about other network firms? Can they provide other services to the company where one of the network firm is providing audit? Yeah, they can provide. Now how much is the ceiling limit there? 3 times. How much is the ceiling limit there? 3 times. In simple words, for example, XYZ, these three are forming part of XYZ and affiliates. Okay, this is firm X, firm Y, firm Z. Okay, these three come under same network, and there is a company called ABC Limited listed company, and this X is the stat auditor. What is this? This X is the stat auditor, and ABC is paying 10 crore audit fee. ABC is paying how much? 10 crore. Now, how much worth of other services A firm A can provide? And remember, this X firm, this Y firm, this Z firm, all of them are also having consulting limiteds. They all three have consulting companies also, their own consulting companies also. Now the first question, X is the auditor of ABC and Co. X, Y, Z, these are the 3 different firms forming part of XYZ and affiliates network. Now one of the member is X. It is charging 10 crore audit fee from ABC Limited. Now how much fees for other services that X or X Limited consulting company plus the audit firm put together, how much fees they can charge? Maximum 10 crore. This you understood? Now remaining 2 firms, no, can they also provide services to this ABC Limited? Yes, they can provide. Remaining 2 firms put together cannot charge 3x of 10 crore, that is equal to 30 crore. Remaining firms can also provide other services to the same company where one of the network firm is auditor. Now remaining firms can provide service, right? How much fees that remaining firms can charge collectively? 3x. Remember, these firms are not statutory auditors. These firms are not statutory auditor for the company. They don't have any relationship with the company. They are only providing other services. So since these firms are providing other services, maximum fees how much they can charge? 3x of the audit fee that is being paid by the company to one of the network firm which is providing audit service. Indirectly from this network, if 10 rupees they are getting for audit, means for this network maximum 40 rupees only permitted for other services. Are you clear? From a particular network, whether it is 1 firm or 2 firms, or leave it, how much audit fee they are getting? 10 crore. Now automatically this network cannot charge more than 40 crore for other services. Simple logic. Like how this 40 crore is splitted? For the audit firm 10, for remaining firms 30. That's it. Easy. All of you. Next. So that's it. And every network must have certain operation bylaws. Every network must establish operation bylaws, like there must be managing committee, how much fees must be charged for network, how much fees must be charged by the network so that a new firm can enter into network, engagement partner ID, dispute settlement, database, training, newsletters, software, libraries, technical directories, resource methodology, compensation, peer review, all these bylaws a network has to formulate. That's it. This is network guidelines. Clear, all of you? Next, then we have various guidelines. Website has to work only on pull mode. Yes or no? Best audit form, your website coming up, no, it should not. Okay, it should come on pull mode. Only full address is typed in the website, only your website should be accessible, otherwise it should not be accessible. And in the website, in your website, there should not be any advertisements. Okay, a third party advertisements and all should not be there on the website. And no distribution of content via email unless requested. Cannot use circulars or ads to invite website visits. Website address on professional stationery and all is allowed. Remember, you should not advertise separately. Client names and fees disclosure permitted only if there is a requirement in the law. Otherwise, you should not mention client names, you should not mention fees charged for them. Yes or no? And further, if at all you are disclosing any client name and fees charged, because there is a legal requirement, you should also clearly mention a disclaimer on the same. Because of so and so guideline, so and so section, because of that requirement, we are disclosing the details of clients and fees charged. Otherwise, you should not disclose. You can easily tell these industries we audited. We audited cement industry, we audited pharma companies, we audited, like that, industry names and all you can tell. You should not tell client names. Okay, next, the partners can keep passport size photos, and you can publish articles, we called, what is it called as, like in websites, no, blogging. Okay, yeah, you can develop blogs and all that and all you can do. Okay, but remember, it should always on pull mode, it should not be working on push mode. Then chat rooms and all also you can enable, and so document management system also you can have on the website with a secure login. Document management system means client can submit data on the website by login into the website. That and all can be done, no problem. And you can have link to social networking page, but cannot solicit likes and visit. Like in the website, no, you can mention Instagram pages of partners, all that you can mention, but it should only work on pull mode. And online advice to clients only upon request. No banner ads, no advertisements. The website must reflect dignity. No inappropriate material on the website. And links can be there for ICA website, government website, regulatory bodies, almost in every CA audit firms and all website you see, income tax website link, everything, links will be there. Website address must be as near as possible to the firm name, and information must match ICA records without any variation. That's it. With this, website guidelines is completed. Clear, all of you? And website color font can be your choice. No conditions on that. Next, online third party platforms. Like now there are many aggregator models are developing, right? Yes, for example, gem is there. Gem is an aggregator platform where government is the only buyer. You don't have other buyers. Service providers can be anybody, government, non-government, anybody, but buyers on gem portal is government only. For example, you take Amazon, sellers can be anybody, buyers can be anybody. Aggregator platform. Like that, for professions, if at all any platform is developed, for example, urban company is there. Okay, that's for services, carpenter, plumbers, everybody. Tomorrow urban company is launching some other brand. Okay, for example, they're launching UC professional services, something like that. Okay, in that you should not register. So you can provide consultancy and advice through non-CA party websites. No other service, no contact address of CA should be mentioned. For example, you see taxman and all website, there they will reply, experts will reply you, they will only mention, chartered accountants will reply, they won't mention that. Even if at all they mention, CAs will reply, they won't mention any names and all. Next, yeah, that's it. CA firm name and all is not permitted to mention on these platform, online third parties. Now what about telephone directories? This and all olden days. Nowadays who is using telephone directory? Next, application based service provider. Okay, sorry, I think aggregator point here discovered. This is regarding online third party platform, taxman, all that. This is regarding aggregator. You cannot list on aggregator. App based service providers will be there, right? You should not list. And guidelines for listing in directories for limited circulations. Any other directories which are meant for limited circulation, can you mention? Yeah, name, description, address can be mentioned. That too, it should come in alphabetical order. And You can include directorship details, reasonable personal details, all that. Names of the client should never be included anywhere. Then that is not required. Self-regulatory measures also not required. In self-regulatory measures, no, okay, fine, we'll see. Who the crack will set the paper, we don't know. Okay, branch audit should not be conducted by statutory auditor where more than 10 members. If at all you are having more than 10 members, member of the institutes, more than 10 members were there in your firm, yours is a very big firm, naturally. Yes or no? Preferably tell company to allocate a separate branch auditor. That's what. These are all self-regulatory measures so that other firms also will get opportunity. Other new qualified enroll members also get opportunity. Should be done by local firms with less than 10 members. So you should encourage the client to appoint an auditor separately for branches where the auditor will be a small firm. Next, you should not restrict statutory audit just because this requirement is that there is no restriction on the stat auditor to visit branch. That's it. However, you see, branch audit is not possible if accounting records are maintained at head office. Obviously, branch audit is possible only when branch is maintaining separate books of accounts. Centralized accounting, suppose if there is a centralized accounting, branch audit concept itself is not possible. Then joint audits, encourage associating practicing firm with less than 5 members as joint auditors for large companies. Senior firm should not object if the client is desiring to appoint a joint auditor. Ratio between unqualified staff and unqualified staff. There must be at least one member of the institute for every 5 non-qualified people. Non-qualified people means what? What is excluded? Articles, typists, peons, these are all excluded. So which means paid assistants, if you take for every 5 paid assistants, there must be one member of the institute in charge. These are all self-recommendatory measures. Okay. Self-regulatory measures which are all recommendatory, they are not compulsory. Remember, council guidelines is compulsory, CA Act is compulsory, Schedule 1, Schedule 2 is compulsory. Next, and disclosure of interest by auditor in other firms. Auditor should disclose payment received through other firms. That and all they need to disclose to ICA. And minimum scale of fees, so, like ICA has given minimum scale of fees guidelines based on cities, class A, class B, class C cities, minimum guidelines have given. And if you see that guidelines, if at all that is really followed, every CA would have been super rich now. Okay, next. So if at all you are doing audit of non-public interest entity, disclosure is required. If gross annual professional fee from that particular audit client is more than 40% of the total firm fee for 2 consecutive years, every year we need to file certain compliance form with ICA. In those forms, we should clearly mention regarding, is there any client, okay, non-public interest entity client. Non-public interest entity means what? Unlisted clients. So if I have an unlisted client and if at all he is paying fee, out of my firm total turnover, his fees is more than 40%. I should give details about him to the ICA. Suppose if at all I am auditing listed entities also, public interest entities. Okay, if I am auditing public interest entities, then 20% only is the criteria. If at all I am getting fees which is more than 20% from a public interest entity client, that details have to be disclosed to the ICA. These are all, these are all basis for peer review. In peer review, they will select based upon all these, significant clients or whom to evaluate self-interest at all that. And some exemption on disclosure. If at all total fees received itself is less than or equal to 20 lakhs, then no need to disclose. Even though it is more than 40%, even though it is more than 20%, doesn't matter. And exempt for audit of government companies, public undertakings, nationalized banks, PFIs, regulators or government appointments. All government appointments are not considered for calculating 40%, 20%, which means private sector. What is considered? Private sector, public interest entities, private sector, non-public interest entities. Only these are considered indirectly. Yes or no? Then recent ethical standards board decisions. In this, some important items were there. Yeah, you see here. Fees on a percentage of education institute grant utilization is permissible. Suppose education institute got a grant. Okay, and the education institute has to submit a copy to the government which gave the grant regarding utilization of grant. Now a CA is appointed for giving a certificate on utilization of grant, and the CA is charging fees as a percentage of grant utilization. Yeah, permitted, no problem at all. Generally, as per clause number 10, fees you cannot charge as a percentage of any activity. Next, statutory auditor of a society is not permitted if immediate family member holds honorary position in the managing committee. If at all the family member, immediate family member means spouse, children. So they will come under parents. Okay, immediate means that immediate, direct. Grandfather and all indirect. Understood? They are not immediate. So if at all immediate family member is participating in managing committee, they may be participating in honorary role. Honorary role means what? Non-executive role. It is not a executive role. Still, you cannot do stat audit of that society. Okay. See, remember, under Companies Act disqualifications are there, under Societies Act disqualifications are there. There is a societies, there is an act called Multi-State Corporate Societies Act. Even their disqualifications will be there. LLP Act has disqualifications. All these disqualifications are minimum only. You need to understand the spirit of the law and accordingly implement it. Yes or no? Sir, in Companies Act, no, grandchildren is not covered. Can I accept the audit of a company where my grandson is a director? Really, grandson is not covered in Companies Act definition. You see, Companies Act definition, grandchildren is not covered in relative. Since in a company, my grandson is a director, can I accept the auditor? Since relative definition does not include grandson, I can accept. No, that is not correct. You need to apply whether threat to independence is there or not, whether your judgment can be influenced or not. That's why in CA Inter Ethics syllabus, initially they will say principle based approach, rules based approach. Ethics cannot be enforced only based on rules based. You need to understand the spirit of the code and accordingly apply. Understood? Next. A CA can be a member as well as auditor of a trust, provided there is no conflict of interest. Like these are all different judgments. These are not rules, I told you. Okay. In that scenario, in that particular case, what are all full facts we don't know. Using messaging apps for practice awareness is not possible. Bulk SMS and all not permitted. Yeah, a firm is not permitted to publish vision, mission statement on letterhead visiting card, but in website you can have. In website you can have vision, mission, all that. Statutory auditor of a bank cannot accept ASM of the same bank customer simultaneously. A member cannot act as a trademark or patent attorney, but can give a professional advice on IPRs. But remember, you can be a digital signature service provider. Internal auditor can purchase shares of the company because internal audit itself is not a stat audit assignment. It's not a external stat assignment. Okay, independence is not compulsory internal audit. First of all, there is no standard on internal audit. Of course, we have something called SIS, standards on internal audit, which are recommendatory in nature. They are not mandatory. CA services via kiosk is permissible if services are allowed professional activities. Kiosk means nothing but for example, you go McD, you can directly book. Yes or no? You don't have to go to the billing counter. Kiosk will be there. Yes or no? That's it. Who is using kiosk? I don't know. Maybe in Big Four or maybe big firms they might have a kiosk service. Okay. Joint training sessions for clients on GST, like multiple firms coming together and conducting a training session on GST. When GST law was introduced in 2017-18, that time these are all happened. Member can be a non-executive or independent director in a cooperative bank, but and not involved in day-to-day activity and not an auditor. Obviously, this is a common sense point. Yes or no? If at all you're an auditor, you can't take the position as a director. If at all you're taking as a position as a director, you can be a simplicitor. Yes or no? This is not an issue. Director simplicitor cannot sign ROC forms. This is most important. Okay, this can be tested many times. You can be an authorized representative of a foreign company, but not an auditor at a time. At a time, you can't act as an auditor for the foreign company and also authorized representative. Representative means you're insider. Yeah. Equity research advisor is permissible, but not retail report. You can be an equity research advisor, but you cannot publish a retail report. One question bank practical question is there. A CA is advising his friends, family members, clients, okay, on how to invest, where to invest, all that, for which he is charging some fees. Equity research advisor is permitted. No problem at all. Yes or no? But you cannot publish retail reports like Dalal Street Journal, like that retail reports and all you can't publish. You can have a credit card of a bank where you are the auditor, provided the credit limit is within the limit. The credit utilization is within the limit. You can be a tax representative for employer, no problem at all. For example, you are working in a big company, you are a CA, and company is facing some tax litigation. You can be a representative. You cannot act as a representative for your colleagues. Yes or no? If you are acting as a representative for colleagues, you are dealing with the principal to principal. Yes or no? That is deemed to be practice. Without a practice in certificate, you cannot do that. Here, they are talking from employer point of view. Means if you are in service. You know this, right? my employer company I can represent in a tax matter. As an employee I can represent. So that is not coming under deemed to be in practice. But if at all I'm representing my colleagues, it will come under deemed to be in practice. But not for employees, other employees. Stat auditor cannot accept stock audit or inspection audit of the same branch. I already told. Internal auditor of PF trust cannot be stat auditor of the company. If a PF trust is controlled by the company and you are an internal auditor, which means you are already indirectly controlled by the company, so you cannot be stat auditor. Concurrent auditor of bank X cannot be stat auditor of bank Y, which is sponsored by bank X. Sometimes, for example, you see right now yes bank is being sponsored by SBI. Yes or no? Yes bank. So yes bank, no. If at all you are a statutory auditor of yes bank, concurrent audit of bank X cannot be accepted, because both are interrelated companies. For the same companies or group of companies, you cannot do concurrent audit, stat audit simultaneously. Internal auditor of a company can be stat auditor for employee provident fund. Okay, this you see, this and this you see contradictory. Yes or no? PF trust internal auditor should not be company stat auditor, but company internal auditor can be a stat auditor for PF trust, provident fund trust. Okay, this is given on some judgment based on some facts, we don't know, but in exam this point only they will ask. And director simpliciter is permissible only if at all you are in a non-executive role and paid only for the board meetings. That's what the director simpliciter meaning. You should not be in executive affairs. Audit assignment of a bank is not permitted if at all you have a loan against FD. Against FD, forget about FD is there or not. You have a loan in a bank exceeding 5 lakhs, you are disqualified. Yes or no? Statutory auditor or tax auditor cannot be the valuer of unquoted shares of the same entity. Permissible if the law is silent, subject to independence. Okay. Suppose in income tax, if there is no prohibition like this, in income tax also we have disqualifications in 288 section. Okay, we have disqualifications for tax auditor, all that. If at all there regarding valuationer or regarding tax auditor, if any disqualification is there, then only you will have to follow it. If there is no disqualification, you can be a tax auditor, you can be a valuer also simultaneously for the same company. And once you become a director in a company, after coming out, 2 years of cooling period you need to have. Okay, remember recently one circular also came on this recently, very recent. This is not compulsory to follow. They told very recently not compulsory to follow, but that is not mentioned in CA Institute book, so you have to feel that it is compulsory. Financial advisors receiving fees or commission from financial institutions not allowed. You cannot provide financial advisory service to financial institution because that comes under additional service, additional occupation. If you got a special permission, then no problem. See, in all these cases, no, if at all you got a permission, no problem at all. That's it. With this, ethics is completely done. Clear? Yeah. I think all the points I locked almost. Wherever that confusion is there, I think I cleared it. Huh? Yeah. Having confusion is different. Knowing that having confusion is different. You must know that it is wrong. Okay, whether it is right or wrong, that thought process, that debate in mind is there. Now that is difficult. If you know this is wrong, okay, fine. That clarity must be there. You must have a clarity that you don't have clarity. That's it.